I, Hermione, travel through time to Marvel to be the savior. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 551 Farewell to Zhao. This girl who can sing, runs fast. In Mutant City, different people have completely different impressions of Zhao. For example, Yif, who didn't spend much time with her but had a deep impression of her, thought that Zhao was a pharmacist. She bought medicinal materials from her but never saw her make medicine. This is secondary. Zhao hometown folk songs are the fascinating art. For Yu, although she was also surprised that Zhao could sing, what remained in Yu's heart was the sword full of murderous aura. Yu would probably never forget that sword. For Yao, Zhao was mysterious and unpredictable, and even his soul didn't dare to get too close to her. It's terrifying to think about it. For Yan, the two were fellow Earthlings and both were traversers. Of course, Yan understood that Zhao was stronger than him. As for how much stronger, Yan didn't know. For Zhao, Zhao was a strange woman that she admired. Zhao was somewhat tolerant, but she regarded Zhao more as a close friend. It could also be a lifelong friend. For Hermione, her mind was complicated. On the one hand, she was fascinated by Zhao coolness and the completely different life experience she could provide her. On the other hand, she was still a little jealous and complained. She wanted to take Zhao for herself and didn't want Zhao to get too close to Zhao, but she also knew that staying by Zhao's side as a little follower was already the limit of what she could do. As for Yan, he was not even her ex-boyfriend, but just her former crush. Zhao Zhan, the head of the Zhao family, has been very busy recently. Because of Yan's reputation as a waste, he was not stable enough as the head of the family. Now, also because of Yan, he is the most famous head of the family. If there was no Yan, the mysterious alchemist would not have taken action. Without the mysterious alchemist, what could the Zhao family do to fight the prosperous Zhao family? However, Zhao Zhan did not expect that Yan, this kid, actually left the Zhao family without saying a word and left a letter. Hurry up and prepare the horse, I want to leave the city. Zhao Zhan still had something to say to Yan. This brat should have just left Mutant City not long ago. Now he should be able to catch up with him if he gallops. This Yan is cool, but he is full of troubles. As soon as Zhao came back, the system prompted her to go to the Zhao clan leader to solve the problem. This time, there are three choices: either kill Zhao directly and become the clan leader of the Zhao family, or tell Zhao the relevant knowledge of postpartum care for SOs. Isn't this funny? Clan leader Zhao needs to know the relevant knowledge of postpartum care for SOs? Zhao could only choose three and came to comfort Zhao's emotions. Zhao, you are here. I have something urgent now. If you have anything, wait until I come back. Clan leader Zhao looked anxious. Zhao said bluntly, the clan leader is so hurried, it should be related to Yan's departure without saying goodbye. After this, clan leader Zhao was stunned, and then calmed down. You know about Yan's affairs. That's right, you and Zhao are Yan's best friends. Thinking of something, clan leader Zhao said angrily. This stinky boy, now he has grown up, he never discusses anything with me. Hermione could only say, Yan was afraid that his departure would make you sad, so he chose to leave without saying goodbye. That's right, Zhao's wife left early, and she almost raised 3 children alone. 3 boys. Now the eldest and the old man have left Mutant City for many years, and the third child Yan has finally grown up, and now he has to leave too. Alas, clan leader Zhao has now become an empty nest elderly. If Yan really wants to leave Mutant City to venture out, I won't stop him. Hermione replied, don't worry, Yan is protected by his mysterious alchemist teacher, so there shouldn't be any problem with his safety. Clan leader Zhao said, can you contact him? He has 2 older brothers who have built forces in the Gur Desert. If Yan travels to that place, he should go and have a look. Hermione nodded and said, Yan and I have pigeon communication. I will tell him about this. After comforting clan leader Zhao, Hermione's mission was considered completed. And when she turned to leave, clan leader Zhao Zhan suddenly had tears in his eyes. A mother worries about her son when he is thousands of miles away. After all, clan leader Zhao Zhan watched Yan grow up little by little, and now he suddenly left. As an old father, his emotions are hard to suppress. Tell him to come back alive. Now Hermione looked at the emotional clan leader Zhao Zhan, and her heart was also moved. Yes, compared with Hogwarts and the Marvel world, the charm of the oriental background of battle through the heavens is also in these details. Well, now Hermione nodded, and then left. Clan leader Zhao Zhan stopped trying to chase Yan. There should be another person in the Zhao family who can't let go of Yan. Zhao. In the original drama, Zhao stood on the roof and watched Yan leave. The farewell was quite touching. On this side, Zhao sat in her room reading a book. Even though she spent most of her time with Hermione and the Zhao family, there was always a place for Yan in her heart. After all, she was the heroine of Battle Through the Heavens. If Hermione hadn't cheated, it would be difficult for Zhao to change her feelings. Unlike Mai, she had no feelings for Yan a long time ago. They were just ordinary friends at most. Because of Yan's sudden departure, Hermione's system option tasks were particularly busy today. Option 1. Go and talk to Zhao about Yan, and tell her that you will be away for a while. Completing the task will reward basic attributes +1. Option 2. Tell Zhao your true identity, and also tell her that her brother Yan is actually a time traveler. Complete the task and get the exclusive attribute, Truth, +1. Option 3. Take Zhao away and find Yan, and then the three of them go on an adventure together. Complete the task and get the exclusive attribute, Adventure, +1. These three options are undoubtedly not simple choices. Each option represents another completely different result. Tell Zhao the truth, she will definitely be shocked, and then what she will do is also completely unknown. But if you think about it carefully, in addition to the unknown butterfly effect, the steady Zhao will not do anything too out of the ordinary. Option 3, that will completely lead the story to another story. The three of them go on an adventure together, which is quite interesting if you think about it carefully. However, the trouble will definitely be very troublesome. Let's go with option 1. Hermione, who likes things to be simple, will definitely not deliberately complicate the problem. You're here. Zhao saw the stunning Hermione come in, and at that moment, she behaved as usual. But Hermione was so familiar with Zhao, and the details on her body perfectly exposed her emotions. He's gone. Hermione didn't blame the outsider. Seeing Hermione being so straightforward, Zhao no longer pretended. Her dignified appearance immediately turned into a look of being heartbroken. She couldn't even control her emotions and threw herself into Hermione's arms and started crying. Brother Yan, how could he be so cruel? He left without even telling Zhao. Hermione stroked Zhao's soft long hair, sighed and comforted her. Maybe he was just afraid that you would be sad. It's better to suffer a short pain than a long one. It's a relief for him to leave like this. Don't cry. It's not like we'll never see each other again. However, Zhao's next words really stunned Hermione. Yan has left. Hermione, are you leaving too? Chapter 552 Lin Yanran's concern. Hermione has always known that Zhao is very smart, but she didn't expect that she would be so smart. She could predict Hermione's actions one step ahead. After more than a year of living together in the Zhao family, Zhao can be said to know Hermione very well, even if she doesn't know most of Hermione's secrets. Don't forget that girl's sixth sense is very accurate. She feels that Hermione's actions and many things are related to brother Yan. At first, Zhao thought that Hermione liked brother Yan and helped him everywhere. But later she found out that Hermione didn't like boys at all. She had no interest in boys. Compared with boys, Hermione prefers beautiful girls with fair skin. Hermione stretched out her hand and pinched Zhao's little face and smiled. How can you be so smart? Seeing Zhao's lonely eyes, it seemed that there were crystal clear tears that seemed to fall. Hermione didn't know whether Zhao was crying for Yan or for herself. No matter what, Hermione would always protect her and say, "Don't worry, my dear Zhao, I am different from your brother Yan. He may not see her again for more than a year, but I am different. As long as you miss me, I will appear by your side. No matter when." It seems to be leaving. but it is not really leaving. Zhao Herman gave Zhao Xun'er a pair of very beautiful earrings. In fact, these earrings are door keys. Yan does not know space magic, so he has no way to see Zhao Xun'er instantly. But for Zhao Herman, it is too simple. Really. Zhao Xun'er stopped crying, her eyes were tearful, and she was lovable. Zhao Herman hugged her tightly and smiled. Silly girl, when have I ever lied to you? In this case, let's make a pinky promise. I promise you that every 7 days, I will appear in front of you at least once. 7 days. Zhao Xun'er was shocked. How many mysterious abilities does Zhao Herman have? When Zhao Xun'er goes back to Canaan College to study, or goes to other places, which are very far away, it is very difficult to find out where Zhao Xun'er is, so how can he go directly to her? Come on, let's make pinky promises first. Liars are dogs. Seeing Zhao Herman coaxing a child, Zhao Xun'er burst into laughter. Zhao Herman was so interesting, and she felt very safe when she was with her. Unlike that unfaithful man Yan, he was a little selfish. Most of the time, he only thought about himself and rarely took into account the thoughts of girls. Otherwise, it is said that only girls understand girls best. After Zhao Xun'er calmed down, she asked with concern. Brother Yan asked for leave, and he still has to fight with Teacher Ruolin for 20 rounds. What about you? Zhao Xun'er said again. And Zhao Mai, she is so attached to you. Without your care, she probably won't be able to live. Zhao Herman held Zhao Xun'er's beautiful face and smiled. Don't worry, I'm not Zhao Yan. What I do is watertight. Well, I believe you. Later, Zhao Herman was surprised to find that Zhao Mai had changed. She was no longer the little follower who needed to rely on others to survive. From the inside out, Zhao Xun'er didn't know what Zhao Herman did to Zhao Mai, but this result was indeed beyond her expectations. Even if Zhao Xun'er mentioned Zhao Herman carefully in front of Zhao Mai was able to act calm, and even clenched her fists and said with fighting spirit, I will definitely study hard and practice. When Zhao Herman comes back, I will tell her that I, Zhao Mai, am very strong. Surprise, too unexpected. And when Zhao Xun'er met Teacher Ruolin's reaction was also surprising. She said that she knew and that she could understand Zhao Herman. Amazing. Everyone's attitude was completely beyond Zhao Xun'er's expectations. However, in this way, she was relieved. It seems that Zhao Herman is really as she said. She is much more reliable than Brother Yan in doing things. She is really watertight. In fact, it is very simple for Zhao Herman to do all this. There is not even a pop-up window to give the task options. Zhao Herman took out the magic wand that had not been used for a long time, and after a few advanced magics, she did it. Zhao Herman did not erase the memory of herself in Zhao Mai's mind, and using an advanced magic that Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry did not have, Zhao Mai's thoughts about herself were automatically transformed into fighting spirit, commonly known as turning grief and anger into strength. This is an advanced magic for emotional transformation. Zhao Mai can live well even without Zhao Herman's care, and she won't feel particularly sad. Zhao Herman is such a careful person that she cast a patroness spell on Zhao Mai. It is not the kind of spell that Harry Potter used to fight back against Voldemort and Dementors. It is a more advanced spell. As long as Zhao Mai is in danger, this spell will protect her. However, according to the development of the original play, she should not encounter such fatal danger. Zhao Xun'er doesn't need it. She is of noble status and has always been protected by masters. Besides, Zhao Herman promised her to see her once a week. Teacher Ruolin's side is also simple, and one magic can solve it. Unlike Yan, there are many explanations and duels. The reason why Zhao Herman didn't use magic on Zhao Xun'er is not because Zhao Xun'er's body and blood are special and can't make magic work. If Zhao Herman didn't have the several advanced magic books rewarded by the system, it would definitely not work if she only relied on the spells learned at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. But the advanced magic books rewarded by the system are all-encompassing. As long as the target of the spell is not an absurdly powerful existence, it should be effective. The reason why I don't want to use it on Zhao Xun'er is mainly because Zhao Herman also wants to live a more realistic life. Zhao Xun'er is a smart and good girl. Zhao Herman is willing to use her true heart to her, rather than full of false magic. That's all. Zhao Herman also left the Zhao family, but she did not immediately look for Yan's footprints. Instead, She followed the system's prompts and came to the Yunlin sect of the Jiama Empire. Now Hermione had never been to the Yunlin sect. The Qi continent is not small, and even Hermione, who is meticulous, has places that she can't take care of. Therefore, Hermione rarely took out the flying broom that she hadn't used for a long time from the space ring. It was the pink one that the system had rewarded in the magic school. At the same time, in order to find the feeling of being a witch, Hermione also changed into the witch uniform of Hogwarts, and flew directly to the sky on the flying broom. Hermione was very fast. With the map of the Jiama Empire, Hermione quickly found the Yunlin sect, a towering mountain that reaches the sky. Even if he knows that even the leader of the Yunlin sect is not his opponent. In terms of fighting spirit cultivation, Hermione is not a top master in the Jiama Empire, but she has the abilities obtained in the Marvel world and advanced magic, so it is not necessarily impossible for her to fight with the top masters in this world. However, there is no need. Hermione is not a martial arts fanatic, and she does not need to fight to become stronger. Compared with equal strength and cross-level challenges, she prefers to defeat her opponents by crushing them. Yunlin sect, on a mountain with a very beautiful environment. The very beautiful Lin Qingyun is sitting cross-legged at this moment, closing her eyes to practice, but because she can't calm down, she finally gives up. Damn it, Lin Qingyun seems to be worried about something. Unlike the original drama, who is carefree and proud, Lin Qingyun here is also very beautiful, but her mentality has undergone a drastic change. In the original drama, it was the Lin family. Lin Qingyun's father came to find fault and asked Lin Qingyun to go to the Zhao family to admit his mistake. Here, the Lin family did not come. Sect Master Yun, the beautiful sect master who was even more beautiful than Lin Qingyun, came. Seeing her beloved disciple Lin Qingyun sitting there staring at the bottom of the cliff in a daze, she slowly walked to her side. Lin Qingyun, are you worried about something? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 553, Sect Master Yun. Sect Master Yun is very beautiful. This kind of woman is popular with people of all ages. However, most men would not dare to have any improper thoughts after learning her identity. She is the current sect master of Yunlan sect and the third strongest person in the top 10 ranking list of Jiama Empire. Of course, this list is not accurate. There are many Loki old monsters who are not included in this list. For example, Yun's teacher, Yun Shan, the 8th generation sect master of Yunlan sect, is now in seclusion and rarely cares about the affairs of Yunlan sect. However, his name is also one of the top 10 strongest people in the last Jiama Empire. Teacher Yun, I am worried about Yan from the Zhao family of Wutan City, Lin Qingyun said bluntly. Lin Qingyun rarely hides anything from Teacher Yun. Although she was born in the golden branches and jade leaves of the Lin family, after coming to Yunlan sect to practice, she has completely become Yun's sweetheart. Yun also left no room for others and trained Lin Qingyun as the successor of Yunlan sect. In the original drama, Lin Qingyun was so proud that she would not worry about Zhao Yan. Lin Qingyun here, since she went to the Zhao family to break off the engagement, she seemed to have completely changed. Yun naturally saw these subtle differences. Although Yan has obtained opportunities, he cannot be compared with your cultivation. Yun comforted her. She had never met Yan, and she didn't want to know that brat at all, but she was still very confident in her disciple Lin Qingyun. Teacher Yun, Lin Qingyun didn't want to be too pessimistic. She was a proud daughter of heaven. It was not her character to be afraid of tigers and wolves. Too cautious. That was Herman's character, not hers. Don't worry. Dan Wang Gui recently gave a pill recipe. After it is refined into medicine, it can help you quickly improve your strength. At present, we are missing a medicine lead. I will go to the Monster Mountain range to get it for you. Lin Qingyun was very moved. Teacher, you are so good to me. Yun reached out and stroked Lin Qingyun's hair and said, you are my only disciple. If I don't treat you well, Who else should I treat well? Don't think too much, just practice well. Yes. Sect Master Yun Yun left. With the comfort of her teacher, Lin Yanren was finally able to calm down. Now Hermione just watched from the side and did nothing. The tasks related to signing in and punching in were relatively simple. After completing the task, Now Hermione did not provoke Yun Yun, but left some door keys in Yunlin sect and then left. She will come back here sooner or later, but not now. New optional tasks appeared again. Either join Yunlin sect and become Lin Yanren's junior sister, or go to Canaan College immediately to start school. Of course, go and see that young man Yan. For convenience, simplicity, and rich task rewards, Now Hermione chose to go and see Yan. Yan, on his side, rarely ventured into the martial arts world alone, and he was still a little uncomfortable. Yao Lao told Yan their destination this time, the Tiger Desert. The walking route was to cross the entire Warcraft Mountains. Yan remembered it in his heart, but he was eager to become stronger, so he asked the teacher to continue teaching him martial arts. Yao Lao gave Yan the dark power of Baji Beng. When he was teaching, Now Hermione came. There was no need to learn secretly. With her intelligence, she only needed to watch a few times to learn it, and she didn't need to practice as hard as Yan, and her practice speed was faster than Yan. Of course, after completing a system task, a new task appeared. Now Hermione felt like she was playing a real-life online game. Option 1. Show up and tell Yan that she is also on vacation and wants to go to the world with him. Complete the task to reward the exclusive attribute, Jiang +1. Option 2. Transform into an adventurer man, pretend to meet Yan by chance, and gain his favor, and go on an adventure together. Complete the task to reward the exclusive attribute, adventure, +1. Option 3. Transform into a beautiful woman that Yan doesn't know, pretends to be a weak woman in trouble, and seek Yan's protection. Completing the task will reward you with the exclusive attribute, acting skills, +1. Option 4. Continue to be invisible, just follow and watch for now. Completing the task will reward you with the basic attribute +1. The 4 options represent 4 different stories. Option 1. Let Yan's adventure alone become an adventure for 2 people. Option 2. It is also an adventure for 2 people, but they meet by chance. Option 3. A weak woman seeks protection. According to idol dramas, it is estimated that there will be a love story. Option 4 is undoubtedly the simplest, and Now Hermione does not need to do anything. Just follow and you can complete the task. Although Now Hermione already has the answer in her mind, she still thinks about it. After all, this option can completely determine the different directions of the story in the future. It is still necessary to take it seriously. Forget it. Yan is replaced by Zhaoxun Aurora Lin Yanren. Then Now Hermione doesn't mind showing up and chatting and drinking together. As a single man and a single woman, Now Hermione doesn't want Yan to misunderstand. As for becoming a male adventurer, it's boring. Becoming a man to flirt with beautiful women is interesting. Becoming a man to become a brother with Yan is boring. So let's choose 4. Now Hermione was watching from the side, and Yan couldn't see Hermione anyway. Time passed quickly, and Yan didn't waste time practicing while rushing on the road. On this day, Yao Lao suddenly had an idea and felt that Yan's practice could be more devilish. So Yao Lao took out a treasure, Xuanzong ruler. What is this? Yan was very surprised. It was the first time he saw something of this shape. Seeing Yan's inexperienced look, Yao Lao said proudly, "From now on, this is your weapon. You carry it on your back when you travel." Yan immediately showed a bitter face and said, "Teacher, you are not kidding me. Don't you have any proper weapons after so many years in the martial arts world? Sword? Spear? Knife?" Yao Lao said unhappily, "What do you know? This Xuanzong ruler is made of black iron, which contains powerful power. It is not comparable to ordinary weapons." Yan became interested after hearing what the teacher said. However, looking at the appearance of this huge broken ruler, Yan really suspected that it was a piece of iron plate picked out of some ancient monument. Even the patterns carved on it did not look like those on weapons. But since Yao Lao said so, Yan was still willing to try it. Huh? Why is it so heavy? Diane couldn't lift it with one hand. With both hands, Diane was already panting with exhaustion. He said bitterly, "Teacher, are you sure you are not kidding? It's so heavy, it's hard for me to lift it with both hands. How can I use it as a weapon against the enemy?" Yao Lao was too lazy to explain to Diane. "What do you know? Hurry up and carry it on your back. Once you are familiar with its weight, this Xuanzong ruler will be your indestructible weapon in the future." Diane did not agree, but he did not refute it. Instead, he carried the huge piece of black iron with difficulty. "Damn, it's really heavy," Diane complained crazily in his heart. Moreover, this weird thing could suppress the fighting spirit in his body, making Diane, who was already unable to bear the weight, very difficult to take every step. It was like walking with a huge stone on his back. Diane did not complain. The harder the training, the faster he would grow. Yao Lao looked at Diane struggling to support himself, and did not complain. He was a little relieved that he was a good martial arts seedling. Chapter 554, Warcraft Mountain Range. Hermione also had dinner. The stealth tracking mission was simple, but also quite boring. After completing the mission, she also practiced for a while. When you are tired, just eat. Eaters are the best. Arriving at a crowded town at the foot of the Warcraft Mountains, the scenery around is a little different from that of Wooten City. Diane, however, had no intention to appreciate it. He was too tired to carry a huge Xuanzong ruler on his back. In order to become stronger, he could endure this kind of hardship, but he no longer had the heart to travel around. Hermione was different. She was in a good mood. Although it was a bit boring to follow Diane in stealth, her fighting spirit and fighting skills improved rapidly after practicing secret arts. For her, coming to the Warcraft Mountains was not for adventure, but for fun. As long as the scenery is beautiful, it is a trip. Different mentality, different pressure on the body, and naturally different feelings. Yao Lao did not make it difficult for Diane. There were too many mercenary adventurers in the town, and Diane's struggling appearance was too eye-catching. When they arrived in the town, Yao Lao asked Diane to put away the Xuanzong ruler. Diane did not object. When the Xuanzong ruler left his red back, Diane felt as if his body had turned into feathers. He could not help but exclaim in pleasure, "It's so cool." Diane breathed a sigh of relief. He felt that he could fly to the sky with a light jump. Yao Lao understood Diane's mood and said with a smile, "Okay, let's start looking for medicinal materials to refine the blood lotus pill." Yao Lao was definitely Diane's best teacher. Yao Lao had planned every step of Diane's cultivation. The blood lotus pill was a protective pill that Diane needed to practice the burning decree and swallow the strange fire. The medicinal materials were the most abundant in the Warcraft Mountains. Many mercenary adventurers would first sell some of the precious medicinal materials to the medicine shops in the town. It was wisest to collect the medicinal materials needed for the blood lotus pill in advance. Hermione, who was following, had actually started preparing a long time ago. The preciousness of the medicinal materials lies in their rarity. Hermione was a righteous person and could not take away Diane's opportunity at will. It is easy to seize it, but the plot will be deviated in the later stage, and then the gain will not outweigh the loss. So, Hermione made preparations in advance with the ability to predict the future. Diane, the medicine master in Wanyao's High, came to the largest medicine shop in the town with the ring medicine master, and saw the blood lotus essence inside at a glance. This is one of the most important medicinal materials needed to refine the blood lotus pill. Diane was very smart. He was afraid that he would expose his purchase needs and be asked for an exorbitant price by the store owner, so he pretended to buy other medicinal materials and then inadvertently brought this medicinal material. Fortunately, the boss did not know the goods and did not understand the important role of the blood lotus essence. Of course, the boss could not be completely blamed for not knowing the goods. After all, the recipe of the blood lotus pill was not something that ordinary people could know. It was a 5th-grade pill. While Diane was still acting, the transparent system pop-up window in front of Hermione appeared. Option 1. Become a businessman who knows the goods, and successfully prevent Diane from buying the blood lotus essence at the lowest price. Completing the task rewards exclusive attribute. Bad woman, +1. Option 2. Turn into a thief and steal the herb first, so that Yen returns empty-handed. Completing the task rewards exclusive attribute, stealing, +1. Option 3. After Yen leaves, show up and punch in, and buy some herbs at random. Completing the task rewards, blood lotus essence, +1. Interesting, this time the system rewards are no longer the common basic attribute +1, but the herb blood lotus essence that Yen has set his sights on. In other words, now Hermione only needs to complete the task to get the same herb as Yen. What are you waiting for? Compared to competing with Yen for a herb and stealing it, option 3 is a real win-win situation. Yen's acting skills are superb. He successfully fooled the owner and successfully took the blood lotus essence. He paid for it without hesitation and quickly put it away. At this time, there was a commotion outside the store. Yen looked over curiously. A large group of mercenaries were protecting a delicate woman in white. The woman was wearing a veil, so her face could not be seen clearly. However, just by feeling her extraordinary temperament and graceful figure, Yen knew that she was definitely a top beauty. Who is that? What a big scene! Yen asked curiously. The shop owner said with admiration, "Little medical fairy? You don't know, she has superb medical skills and has saved countless mercenary adventurers who went to the Warcraft Mountains. And I heard that she is also extremely beautiful. Such a woman is simply an angel." Yen has already had a preliminary understanding. I don't know if it was influenced by Hermione, but he has a feeling that he may encounter a wonderful story with this popular little medical fairy. However, now is not the time to eat. Today, he was exhausted from carrying the Xuanzong ruler all the way to practice. Now he quickly finds a hotel to have a good meal and then have a good rest. After Yen left, Hermione suddenly appeared. Although changing her appearance can avoid trouble, Hermione wants to live a more realistic life in Key Continent. Completing a large number of optional tasks every day already makes her feel like an internet addict. So, she directly reveals her true appearance and briefly appears in Wanyao's high. The boss was a little surprised. How did this beautiful girl come? Didn't she come in from outside? She is so beautiful and has such a good figure. Even if the owner is not a bad person, as a man, he can't help but pay more attention to her. "Miss, you look amazing. It's not peaceful here. You'd better wear a veil like Yixian," the shopkeeper kindly reminded. This place is close to the Warcraft Mountains, and there are mostly people who lick blood on the edge of a knife around. Everyone lives a life of today and tomorrow. This Hermione is too beautiful, which will inevitably make some bold men have evil thoughts. This is a good idea. Hermione took out a face towel and put it on, and smiled. "Thank you for reminding me, boss. Is this okay?" The shop owner was a very special person to be able to open a shop here. He sighed. In this town, apart from Yixian, it is probably difficult to see another girl as wonderful as this. Although it is difficult to see her face, the girl has an excellent temperament. You should be more careful when walking in this chaotic place. Faced with a beautiful girl, especially a lady like Hermione who is loved by everyone, most men will have a protective feeling in their hearts. Hermione thanked her again. Although Hermione is a god, this shop owner is also a kind reminder, and she will not be stingy with her thanks. After buying some medicinal herbs, the system prompts, "Congratulations on completing option 3 task. Reward, blood lotus essence, +1. The task is simple. And with the reminder of the shop owner, Hermione is wearing a face towel at this moment, and is not afraid of being quickly recognized by Yen, so she is no longer invisible and moves into the hotel directly. In fact, just Hermione's charming back is enough to make most men with bad intentions want to commit crimes. But fortunately, Hermione has a lot of low-key points, so in a short period of time, he did not cause any unnecessary trouble. Now Hermione's overall attribute points are: Magic plus 106, Health plus 92, Low-Key plus 75, Agility plus 93, Defense plus 95, Strength plus 90, Stealth plus 89, Pretty plus 10, Charm plus 10, Figure plus 10, Skin plus 10, Wisdom plus 10, Gentleness plus 1, Soul plus 1, Optimism plus 1, Teasing plus 2, Good Guy plus 2, Painter plus 1, Performance plus 1, Decisiveness plus 1, Silence plus 1, quietness +1, professionalism +1, courage +1, luck +1, casualness +1, beauty +1, leisure +2, justice +1, violent spirit +1. Chapter 555 King Shantown. Looking at her complex but well-organized attribute panel, now Hermione was thinking, she has lived in the Qi continent for quite a while now. Should she improve the Qi attribute? In fact, there is also the alchemy attribute, which currently has 0 points of bonus, all thanks to Hermione's own talent, the basics of potion science learned at Hogwarts, and her strong soul perception. Whether it is improving Qi or alchemy attributes, it is very valuable, but unfortunately the basic attribute points are still too precious. Although Hermione works part-time to complete tasks every day, she is like a moonlighter. She wants to increase many important attributes, but with limited resources, she can only choose the important ones first. Because the attribute point +1 does not improve significantly, when she first traveled to Hogwarts, in order to survive, Hermione was afraid that her identity as a traveler would be exposed. She carefully added a lot to low key. Later, as her strength improved, Hermione began to develop her body functions in a comprehensive way, and magic, health, defense, and strength all began to increase, and all exceeded the original low-key points. Because the attribute points cannot be reset to 0, Hermione is extremely beautiful, and at the same time, low-key, luxurious and meaningful. It's contradictory, but that's how real life is. Now Hermione is considering whether to build a second set of inscription attributes. The previous set is very suitable for wizards, very balanced. If you build another set of fighter attribute inscription bonuses, then the wizard set will not be able to continue to improve. Attribute points are very important resources. Hermione needs to think carefully about whether to focus on being an invincible witch in the future, or to make some achievements in alchemy and fighting spirit. This decision is very difficult. Just like starting a company, the original industry has finally made some progress. If you continue to specialize in it, you will achieve greater success. But at this time, you have discovered new business opportunities and invested in new industries, which can develop from a single specialized company to an all-encompassing group. However, Hermione doesn't need to worry too much. Attribute points are not all of Hermione's strength. They are just inscription bonuses and King of Glory. In the real game, you still need to buy equipment and upgrade skills to become stronger. Even if Hermione's attribute panel is reset to 0, she is still very strong. It's just that her talent has returned to the level when she just crossed over. Lin Qingyun. She has lived in the Qi continent for more than a year. Let's take it one step at a time. I don't have a clear idea of developing a second set of inscriptions. I will first add points to the attributes related to the Qi continent, and temporarily add less to the wizard inscription attributes. The disadvantage of doing this is that Hermione's wizard attributes will improve more slowly, but the advantage is that with the improvement of the attributes of the alchemist and fighter, Hermione's learning speed in this area will be faster and more stable. After all, we have to consider the long term. Yen has Yao Lao who can help him refine the 5th grade elixir, Blood Lotus Pill. Could it be that when Hermione absorbs the strange fire in the future, Yao Lao will also help? Hermione's magic ability is indeed the ceiling, but it is difficult for her to play a vital role in absorbing the strange fire. Professional matters should be left to professionals. Therefore, Hermione plans to rely on herself. When she encounters a strange fire that needs to be swallowed, she can refine the 5th grade elixir by herself. Then, with this as the goal, Hermione must start to use the external plugin in advance. Night falls. Yen has fallen asleep. It is not something a normal person can do to carry the Xuanzong ruler on his back during the day. But Hermione is very relaxed during the day, and she also has system option tasks at night. She jumps out of the window nimbly, and after solving a case of the strong bullying the weak on the roadside, she gets the basic attribute points rewarded by the system. Hermione did not hesitate. She did not have a particularly clear goal. For example, she is now in the Qi continent, so she will first consider adding the inscription attribute points here. If she wants to return to the Harry Potter world and the Marvel world, Then she will consider upgrading the attribute points there. Take your time. You can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. So, there was an additional, Alchemy +1, on Zhao Hemin's attribute panel. To be honest, the feeling of adding only a little bit is really not obvious. But Zhao Hemin did not think much after doing all this. Although Zhao Hemin does not have mysophobia, she did not use the quilt in the hotel. Instead, he spread out the 3-piece quilt set that he had stored in his space ring and was rewarded by the system, and fell asleep comfortably. In Qingshan town, Diane had just finished breakfast when he heard a lot of noise outside. He did not waste time and went out to discuss with the ringmaster Yao Lao. With the help of Yao Lao, it was still easy for Diane to cross the Warcraft Mountains, but Yao Lao meant that Diane needed to exercise. This exercise was not only about practicing with the heavy Xuanzong ruler on his back, but also about the experience of traveling in the martial arts world. Of course, with Yao Lao's protection, Diane could go to the Tiger Desert faster and more smoothly, but if he was so eager for success, I am afraid that Diane's future growth would be limited. So after the discussion, Yao Lao meant that Diane should find a way to cross the Warcraft Mountains by himself, use wisdom, experience, and take risks. Only when Diane encountered fatal danger, Yao Lao would come out to help Diane solve it. At the same time, he also reminded Diane not to take shortcuts and not to think that Yao Lao was there, just like Hermione, who could be lazy. Diane understood and nodded seriously. Experience is not something that can be gained by practicing hard in seclusion every day. He needs to forget about the amulet of Yao Lao in his heart and imagine himself as a passionate young man who is helpless and wandering in the world. No matter how difficult and dangerous the situation is, he needs to fight it by himself. I know, teacher. The Warcraft mountain range is full of dangers. If Diane does not rely entirely on Yao Lao, then he must rely on other external forces. That is to form a team and enter the Warcraft mountain range together. Having a friend means more care. This is actually experience. Instead of letting Yao Lao protect you everywhere, and finding friends and helpers by yourself. After having a general idea in mind, perhaps God blesses, a pleasant voice suddenly rang behind Zhao Yan. Young man, are you alone? Zhao Hemin appeared. She was dressed in a snow-white dress. She did not change her appearance, but she wore a veil on her face like Zhao Yixian. Normal people, close relationships, can be recognized at a glance even with masks, let alone such a thin veil. However, Zhao Hemin is not an ordinary person. She was filled with powerful magical radiation, blocking Jian's correct cognitive ability, so that Jian would not overlap himself in front of him with the impression of Zhao Herman in his mind. In this way, in Jian's eyes, Zhao Herman was a mysterious woman wearing a veil. Who are you? Zhao Herman smiled sweetly and said in a very crisp voice, hello, my name is Granger. You can call me Ms. Granger. Just now I have been paying attention to you for a long time. I saw that you have a righteous look between your eyebrows, and you are handsome, not like a bad person. I happen to be alone, so I think we can go to the Warcraft mountain range together temporarily. Diane was stunned. Granger? What a strange name, but this girl is too brave. At first glance, she is a spoiled young lady, with clear eyes like water, and at first glance, she has never suffered a beating from society. Such a little girl dares to go to the Warcraft mountain range alone? I'm sorry, I have important matters to attend to in the world of Warcraft mountains, so I can't travel with you. In Jian's opinion, this Miss Granger was obviously here to travel in the world of Warcraft mountains, and she was the kind of troublemaker who ran away from home and wandered around alone. Chapter 556, Cliff Cave. Seeing Jian's direct refusal, Zhao Herman was not angry. She resisted the urge to kick him away and continued, think about it again. If you miss this opportunity, you will never have it again. No. In this regard, Jian was quite decisive. He had discussed with Yao Lao that he wanted to gain more experience, but he still had to be more careful about Granger, who took the initiative to come to him. Jian did not bother with Granger anymore. He saw some movement in front of him. It turned out to be the Wanya Ozhai herb collecting team. Wanya Ozhai and Zioixian formed a team to enter the Warcraft mountain range to collect herbs. There were about 50 people, and they were just short of one person. Diane's heart was warmed. and he signed up. He himself could not figure out whether he was doing it to gain experience or because he saw Xiaoxian. Compared with other escort mercenaries, Diane was a little younger, and the Wanyao's high herb collecting team had some requirements for strength. When Diane showed a little, he was successfully hired. There is also a reward of 500 gold coins. Half of it will be given first, which is exactly 250 gold coins. Diane was not embarrassed. After he joined the team, he gradually discovered that this 50-person herb collecting team was not as simple as it seemed. Among them, more than 30 people were from a group called the Wolfhead Mercenary Group. They have been cooperating with Wanyao's High for many years, and the leader seemed to be interested in Xiaoxian. Come to think of it, Xiaoxian is the most famous woman in Qingshan town, so naturally there will be many suitors. Diane and Xiaoxian are not familiar with each other, and he is too lazy to meddle in other people's business. As for Miss Granger, who took the initiative to find her, Diane had completely forgotten about her. The team set off quickly, and the goal was the place where herbs were abundant in the Warcraft Mountains. After rushing for half a day, everyone had entered the outer area of the Warcraft Mountains. At this time, everyone stopped and started to cook. Diane also found a corner to eat some dry food. At this time, Diane suddenly smelled the particularly fragrant smell of roast chicken. He smelled the smell and looked over, and was immediately stunned. I saw Miss Granger in white clothes and veil, who took the initiative to find him in Qingshan town and asked to cooperate with him to go to the Warcraft mountain range not far away, grilling delicious roast chicken. Why are you here? Diane was so surprised. Now Herman's big watery eyes were full of sarcasm and said, "Young man, do we know each other? Don't try to make connections." Diane was a little embarrassed. He had rejected her in Qingshan town. Now, it seemed that it was understandable that she ignored him. Diane observed for a while and saw that Miss Granger in white clothes was not only making roast chicken, but also had rice wine and wild fruits on the side. It was obvious that she was not here to explore the Warcraft mountain range, but to travel. The Warcraft mountain range is full of dangers. It is not suitable for a lady like you to come. You should go back quickly. Now Herman ate the hot roast chicken and drank the sweet rice wine, and replied, "What do you care?" After that, she ignored Diane and walked towards the little Dr. Fairy of the Wanyao's high herb picking team. Diane looked from a distance and saw that Ms. Granger seemed to be very familiar with Xiaoxian. Diane was a little confused. What was the relationship between this person and Xiaoxian? Xiaoxian was just bewitched by Miss Granger's magic, and they were just good friends at the moment. So, on the next journey to the Magic Beast mountain range, Miss Granger and Xiaoxian took a sedan chair. Everyone else walked. On the outskirts of the Magic Beast mountain range, there were many magic beasts, first level ones, red ice snakes and snake-tailed leopards. Diane also took action and won the praise of other mercenaries. Of course, this did not include the Wolfhead mercenary group. Xiaoxian chatted with Miss Granger all the way. According to Ms. Granger's self-introduction, she was a female adventurer who could protect Xiaoxian closely. Xiaoxian thought to herself, "I don't need your protection, but it's also interesting to have an interesting person to chat with along the way." Granger didn't use magic to influence Xiaoxian too much. The herb-picking team soon arrived at the place where herbs were abundant in the Magic Beast mountain range. In addition to the mercenaries, the herb-picking team of Wanyao's High immediately began to pick them. Whether or not he could afford the mercenary group he hired this time depended on the value of these herbs. Diane had his own thoughts. He gradually left the original team, found a deserted place, and began to look for herbs. Yao Lao was a good teacher. There were many herbs here, and he explained them to Diane one by one. When Diane saw a valuable herb, Bay Island fruit, he immediately went over quickly and prepared to pick it. But someone else picked it first. Diane looked closely and saw that it was Xiaoxian and Miss Granger. "Whatever I pick first is mine." Miss Granger was very capable. At this moment, she was holding hands with Xiaoxian, like sisters. This scene gave Diane a sense of déjà vu. It seemed that this Miss Granger was very similar to a beautiful girl from the Zhao family in his impression, but Granger's magic was too advanced, and there was just a little difference. Diane just couldn't think of it. Yours. I won't fight with you. Diane didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect that he and Ms. Granger had a fate of enemies. Zhao Yixian asked curiously, Granger, do you know this young mercenary? Granger was very good at role-playing, she said, more than knowing each other. This young man, I wanted to cooperate with him to explore the Warcraft Mountains, but he didn't agree. Zhao Yixian couldn't help laughing. Although Granger is wearing a veil, you can tell at a glance that she is a lady from a noble family. This young mercenary is a little ungrateful. The two beauties were talking back and forth, which made Diane embarrassed. I am ungrateful. Let's say goodbye now. Diane turned around and was about to leave. Granger's eyes turned and he suddenly said, wait a minute, since you're a mercenary hired by Wan Yozhai, you can't just take the money without doing any work. Zhao Yixian had her own ideas. She took Granger's hand and said, no need. The other mercenaries are nearby. They will come when we call them. Granger said, don't underestimate this young man because he is young. He is very strong. He can let him get the tools for picking herbs. Zhao Yixian saw that Granger seemed to be targeting Zhao Yan. She didn't know what the feud between the two of them was. She hesitated and said, this is not good. Granger suddenly shouted to Zhao Yan, we are going to pick herbs now. You are responsible for protecting our two beauties. Do you have any objections? Zhao Yan was overwhelmed. This young lady named Granger should not be provoked. What a bad fate. Okay, but don't go too far. Just like that, Zhao Yan followed Zhao Yixian and Granger and began to act as a mercenary bodyguard. The monsters nearby were dealt with by the mercenaries, so there were no monsters attacking the herb picking. Because of Granger, Zhao Yan also had the opportunity to observe Zhao Yixian up close, and saw that this woman was indeed very extraordinary. Granger on the side was also excellent, but for some reason, Zhao Yan had a hard time feeling that way about her. Instead, he had the urge to stay away from her. Miss Granger certainly didn't come here to travel. She still had her own mission to choose. She deliberately took Zhao Yan and Zhao Yixian to the cliff cave where the secret treasure was hidden. In the original drama, Zhao Yan accidentally pretended to be Zhao Yixian, and the two had a big fight because of it. As a result, of course, Zhao Yan's protagonist aura exploded. Not only was he not poisoned by Zhao Yixian, but he also took advantage of Zhao Yixian. Chapter 557, Little Doctor can't help laughing or crying. With Granger here, Zhao Yan won't have this good fortune. Just be a friend you met by chance. Look, what's under that cliff? Granger pretended to be looking at the scenery at the edge of the cliff at first, and then exclaimed as if he had discovered something. Zhao Yixian rushed over immediately. She thought Granger had discovered the spiritual medicine on the cliff. Generally, the more dangerous the place, the more good medicine can grow. There seems to be a cave over there. Zhao Yixian looked in the direction of Granger's finger and was a little surprised. Really? It's so hidden. Granger, you are really amazing. You can even notice it. Granger thought to himself, it's a system task prompt. How can I not see it? If there is no system task prompt, it is really difficult to find a hidden cave on the cliff in this desolate mountain. Zhao Yan saw the two restless beauties making a fuss, and also came over. Before he could see clearly where the cave the two women were talking about was, he heard Granger start to find trouble again. Mercenary, go down and take a look. Zhao Yan was stunned and frowned. The cliff was so deep that he could not see the bottom. Although the wind was not strong, if he fell down accidentally, he would be crushed to pieces. Zhao Yixian also felt that Granger's words were a bit too much. We don't know what dangers there are in the cave, and it's so high here. Granger said, what are you afraid of? He is a mercenary and he is afraid of death? Zhao Yan was not irritated by Granger. He replied calmly, I can be responsible for protecting your safety, but it doesn't mean that my life is worthless. TSK. Afraid of death. Granger was too lazy to talk to him. Her mission was not completed yet. Granger took out a rope, tied it to a boulder, and then holding the rope in one hand, jumped down without hesitation. Miss Granger Zhao Yixian was shocked. Zhao Yan also sighed. This impulsive girl was too bold. He had to stay away from her in the future. Granger looked at the entrance of the cave, and the system prompted that the clocking task was completed and the reward was successfully distributed. She was at the bottom, and she increased her Alchemy +2, and then went up along the rope. You are too impulsive. What if you get hurt and in danger? Zhao Yixian complained, while reaching out to pull Granger up. After coming up, Granger collected the rope and looked at Yan and laughed. I'm not like a certain mercenary who is so greedy for life and afraid of death. A good man does not fight with a woman. No matter what Ms. Granger said, there is only one life, and if you die, you will have nothing. Taking risks also depends on whether it is worth it. Yan will not do stupid things casually. At this time, Zhao Yixian asked, "What's in that cave?" Granger pretended to be mysterious and said, "There are secret treasures. I saw words carved by predecessors on the wall. There should be important inheritance in it." Yan couldn't help but interrupt and said, "If there are treasures, why don't you bring them up?" Granger continued to mock. "Do you think I'm as stupid as you? There are mercenary groups around here. They are just picking herbs. They are naturally law-abiding, but if they also know the secret treasure in this cave, will they still protect us honestly?" After hearing this, Yan was a little surprised. He didn't expect that this seemingly reckless young lady actually had such a brain. "So, what are your plans?" Granger hooked her finger at Zhao Yan. Yan was a little helpless, but still approached. "If you also want to have a share, you must keep this secret. We will come here at night when everyone else is asleep. This way, after we find the secret treasure, we can do it without anyone noticing." Yan sighed. "I really suspect that you are a professional treasure hunter, not a runaway young lady." "Who told you that I am a runaway young lady, psycho?" Zhao Yixian ignored the quarrel between Granger and Zhao Yan. She looked back at the cave and said, "Only the three of us know this place, young man, and I don't even know your name?" Zhao Yixian seemed smarter. If Miss Granger didn't lie, and there were really good things in the cave, then at this moment, the three people who knew about this matter were in the same boat. Then Zhao Yixian must first have some understanding of Yan. Yan had just entered the arena, and there were still two delicate little beauties in front of him. Although they were both wearing veils, Yan was not stupid. These two were both stunning, so he did not hide it and said, "My name is Yan. I can't even remember my real name. You can just call me Zhao Yixian." Zhao Yixian said with a bit of loneliness. Zhao Yixian had a rough life, and indeed had a lot of sufferings that outsiders could not tell. Granger said, "My identity is very mysterious. You just need to know that my name is Granger." Yan might have been targeted by Granger everywhere, and now he laughed and said, "This is the first time I hear myself say that I am mysterious." Granger looked furious, waving his fist and said, "Yan, do you want to fight?" Zhao Yixian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Okay, stop making trouble. Other mercenaries may have been looking for us. Let's go back quickly." The three of them got to know each other briefly, and then had a common goal, and then went back together. However, Granger, who was always cautious, suddenly said to Yan, "Stay away from us. Master Mulai from the Wolfhead mercenary group is interested in our little medical fairy. If he sees you, a young man, coming back with little medical fairy to collect herbs, he will definitely make trouble for you." Yan was a little surprised. He didn't expect that this seemingly carefree lady would actually have such a careful side. "Well, I see. How can we work together at night?" Yan asked. Granger said, "Don't sleep too deeply. Just wait for me to find you." Yan nodded. Granger is a young girl. She is very close to little medical fairy, so Master Mulai from the Wolfhead mercenary group will naturally not care. But Yan is different. In the original play, it was because he came back with little medical fairy that Master Mulai remembered him. Because of Granger's reminder, Yan came back last and did not attract other people's attention. Yan heard the voice of Master Mulai caring about little medical fairy from a distance. "Where did you go to collect herbs, Zhao Yixian? I was so worried." Zhao Yixian said coldly, "I have Granger to protect me. Master Mulai doesn't need to worry too much. Granger is a woman after all, and it is still very dangerous in the Warcraft Mountains. Next time Zhao Yixian wants to collect herbs, you can call me. I will definitely protect Zhao Yixian with my life." When a man wants to pick up a beautiful woman, he can say anything. Zhao Yixian is used to it and doesn't take Master Mulai's words to heart. Most of these rich second generations are playboys. Mulai's appearance and temperament are not good, so it is difficult for Zhao Yixian to catch her eye. That Yan is qualified, but at this moment she has Granger by her side. Granger's cooking skills are exquisite. Now Yixian feels that with Granger around, she doesn't need a man. Diane is an ordinary mercenary. After he was tidying up, it was getting dark. In order to make it easier for Granger to find him tonight, he deliberately slept near the edge of the forest and closed his eyes to rest. Chapter 558 Treasures in the Secret Chamber. Time passed quickly, and Jian did not waste time. He kept circulating the qi in his body to stabilize his cultivation. Finally, Miss Granger came. When Jian opened his eyes, he was shocked. During the day, they were still two beautiful girls in white. At night, they were wearing night clothes, and only their eyes were exposed, shining in the white moonlight. "You are really professional," Diane complained. Now Yixian had an awkward explanation. "This is prepared by Miss Granger. She said that this kind of equipment should be used for night operations." Sure enough, it was this woman's idea again. The three of them started to move, taking advantage of the night. Diane fell behind, and he whispered, "You two are wearing night clothes, and I am still wearing ordinary clothes. It's not suitable." Diane thought Granger would also prepare a set for him, but unexpectedly, Miss Granger didn't mention it at all. Now Yixian understood what Diane meant and wanted to help him, but she didn't prepare such clothes. Granger said without turning his head, "I only have 2 sets. How about I take them off and give them to you?" "That's not necessary." Diane coughed twice. Under the moonlight, the three of them quickly came to the cliff of the cave that Granger had discovered during the day. Granger paused first, looked at his system options and tasks, and said to Yixian and Jian, "I was the first to discover this cave, so let's make a good distribution in advance." Now Yixian and Granger listened quietly. "First, if there is danger inside, we will fight together." Now Yixian and Jian agreed to this point and had no objection. "Secondly, if there are treasures inside, we can divide them equally, but if there are secret methods, I must watch them first and then distribute them." Diane frowned. She watched first. Now Yixian answered straightforwardly, "I agree." Now Yixian said, "I am also very familiar with this monster mountain range. There are many cliff caves, some of which are actually the nests of monsters, so we should not hold too high hopes. There may be nothing inside." Granger smiled and said, "Who said that? Even if there is only a nest of bird eggs in it, we can take them out and make a delicious meal." Diane was speechless, but he also understood what Zhao Yixian meant. There are countless monsters in the monster mountain range. Some flying bird monsters like to press their nests in caves. Cave secret treasures are not so easy to find by chance. Maybe the only gain from tonight's adventure is really a nest of big bird eggs, but since we are here, we still have to go in and take a look. Diane, you go down first. Granger started to target Diane again. This time Diane did not refuse. Granger was so brave to jump down the rope during the day. At night, Diane would be looked down upon if he was still timid and cautious. "Now Yixian, you are weak. I will carry you down." In the original drama, this kind of good fortune belonged to Diane, and Granger was the one who took the lead here. Now Yixian blushed a little, but did not refuse. After all, this is a cliff, safety first. Being held in Granger's arms, Now Yixian felt an inexplicable sense of security, which was very strange. Miss Granger, who was also a beautiful girl, unexpectedly brought Zhao Yixian an inexplicable sense of security. Diane waited at the entrance of the cave and took out a torch to illuminate. When Granger jumped down with Zhao Yixian in his arms, Diane's eyes were a little strange, but he didn't say much. The three of them exchanged glances and began to explore the cave. Suddenly, a rock snake attacked them. There are indeed monsters here. As a man, Diane naturally took the initiative to fight. Granger pulled Zhao Yixian and looked at the system pop-up window in front of her that only she could see. Option 1. Diane is new to the world, and needs to be beaten by society. Attack him from behind and let him die in the snake's belly, or lose an arm. Completing the task will reward you with the exclusive attribute, Venomous, +1. Option 2. Diane's battle is too troublesome. It will cause a big noise and attract others to come quickly. It will be bad. Make a move in secret and quickly deal with the rock snake. Completing the task will reward you with the exclusive attribute, Fighting Spirit, +1. Option 3. I don't care, I will just protect Zhao Yixian. Completing the task will reward you with a cotton nightgown. Granger certainly has no shortage of nightgowns, so she chooses 2. If it's option 1, Diane will either become a Lone Ranger, or Po Kang Kai will have to change the male lead. Granger made a move in secret, flicked a small stone with his finger, and contained the fighting spirit strength of a peak-grade fighting master. In the dark, no one noticed this. Yao Lao and Jian's ring was also sleeping and did not observe the situation outside. Otherwise, Granger would have used magic. It was because Granger knew that Yao Lao was not monitoring that she used fighting spirit. Congratulations on completing option 2, rewarded with the exclusive attribute, fighting spirit, +1. The battle is over. This rock snake looks quite weak, so it's not that you, Diane, are so strong. Granger could make Diane speechless whenever he spoke. I don't think I'm that strong either. Zhao Yixian shook her head and said, let's go in and take a look. I hope there's more than just a bunch of snake eggs inside. Zhao Yixian is actually a quirky little beauty. She and Granger have similar interests. The 3 of them came to the cave, which was indeed not very big. It's the end. Granger deliberately sighed. There's not even a bunch of snake eggs. It seems that we came here in vain. Diane felt that there was something strange inside the cave, but he couldn't tell where it was strange. Zhao Yixian seemed to see something, and she said to Diane, Diane, bring the torch over here. Zhao Yixian looked at the wall closely, knocked here and there, and then Zhao Yixian smiled. There's actually a mechanism here. We have to be careful next time, Granger praised. Zhao Yixian, you're really amazing. Granger was really good at pretending to be stupid. When the mechanism was triggered, the 3 of them were extremely alert. Diane also found that Granger seemed to be using him as a human shield. Intentionally or unintentionally, he cursed in his heart. This girl is so vicious. Fortunately, there were no hidden weapons or dangers. The stone door opened, and there was a soft light inside. It turned out that the inside was a stone room, and the soft light came from the luminous stones on the wall. Ah, what is that? Granger pretended to be frightened and hugged Zhao Yixian tightly. I saw that under the luminous stone was a dry skeleton. It was indeed a bit scary in this gloomy cave. Don't be afraid, it's just a pile of bones. Zhao Yixian acted very calmly. It was obvious that she was not very old, but she had already seen such scenes. Diane did not miss the opportunity to laugh at Granger and said, I don't know who said that others were greedy for life and afraid of death during the day, but now I am scared. Granger rolled his eyes at Diane and said, if you don't speak, no one will think you are dumb. Diane was still secretly happy, and finally laughed at Granger. Little did he know that Granger was just pretending to roleplay. There are so many treasures here. There was a pile of gold coins on the ground, shining brightly. Granger exposed her greed. These gold coins are all mine. After saying that, she seemed to have thought of something, and said awkwardly, I will divide it into 3 parts, and each of us will get 1 part of the money. Diane laughed. Granger waved his fist at him. Granger quickly divided the pile of gold coins into 3 parts, 1 for each person. The 3 of them were not ordinary people, and they all had storage rings and places to store things. We will also divide these herbs. Next to the pile of gold coins were all kinds of flowers and plants. Granger pretended to be the boss of the group and started to divide the spoils. Diane was too lazy to argue with her, so he didn't say much. Zhao Yixian would not stop him. Although Granger exposed her greed for money, she was still very fair when dividing the spoils. Chapter 559 7-Colored Poison Sutra. The herbs were so colorful. I wonder how these herbs could be so full of vitality in this secret room without sunlight, just relying on the luminous stone. Diane had no intention of doing anything until he saw a plant of ice spirit flame grass among the herbs. It was one of the important materials for refining the blood lotus pill, and it was a must for Diane. Granger also needed it. She was smart and knew as much about these herbs as Diane did. For example, she knew the purple blue leaves, white spirit ginseng fruit, snow lotus seeds, etc. Option 1. Give the ice spirit flame grass to Diane without leaving any trace, and you will be rewarded with 1 iced spirit flame grass after completing the task. Option 2. Destroy the iced spirit flame grass directly, If you can't get it, no one else can get it. Complete the task and you will be rewarded with the exclusive attribute, Destroy, +1. Option 3, give the Ice Spirit Flame Grass to Zhao Yixian, and you will be rewarded with 10 kilograms of gold coins after completing the task. The system also popped up for this little thing. Granger would naturally choose the one that would be most powerful for him. Diane stared at the Ice Spirit Flame Grass. He knew Miss Granger was difficult to deal with. If he told her directly that he needed the Ice Spirit Flame Grass, he could even give up all the other herbs. He even felt that Granger would definitely go against him. So, when Diane was hesitating whether to speak up or not, Granger actually gave him this precious herb directly, as if she didn't know the value of it. Great! Diane was overjoyed. However, Diane was very good at pretending, so he didn't let Granger see it, otherwise it would be troublesome. Granger laughed in her heart. You need the Ice Spirit Flame Grass to refine the Blood Lotus Pill. Do you think I don't know? Zhao Yixian didn't notice the little movements of the two. She looked at the stone table beside her, where the 3 treasure chests were placed. I don't know what the owner of this withered bone thought before he died. The gold coins, herbs, and treasure chests were all ready. This is simply a kind person who uses his life to seek benefits for others. Look, there are 3 treasure chests here. Diane quickly put away the Ice Spirit Flame Grass that Granger had distributed, and then continued, this treasure chest is placed outside. I'm afraid it will explode. We have to be careful. Granger directly complained, you are really afraid of death. Granger was very brave at this moment. She went over, took the key from the bones and went to open the treasure chest. Diane was very upset. You are really not afraid of death. What if there is a trap? Although Diane had just entered the martial arts world, he had already thought of several more dangerous situations in his mind. For example, the ground suddenly collapsed and the 3 of them fell down at the same time. Or, the treasure chest released poisonous smoke and poisonous arrows. At such a close distance, it was impossible to dodge. What's more terrifying is that once the treasure chest is opened, an earthquake will occur, and then it will collapse and bury all 3 of them. There are too many dangers. However, before Diane could stop it, Granger had already opened a treasure chest with a click. There was a book inside. Granger took it up and said, the 7-colored poison scripture. This book is suitable for Zhao Yixian. However, I want to take a look first. Diane did not speak. He was eager to see the remaining 2 treasure chests, but the key was in Granger's hand. Seeing Granger really watching on the spot, Diane was speechless. Open the remaining 2 treasure chests first and take a look. Why are you rushing? Granger showed impatience, and then she turned the pages faster. She used magic to speed up her memory. She read 10 lines at a glance, memorized them in her brain first, and then slowly pondered them later. Zhao Yixian was not in a hurry and said, the 7-colored poison scripture is indeed very important to me, but Granger, you can't understand it if you look at it this way. When we get out, I can slowly explain it to you. Zhao Yixian was a doctor, and she was afraid that Granger would not understand. Granger only replied to wait a moment. Diane had no choice but to start looking for other good things in the secret room. The secret room was not big. Apart from the herbs and gold coins that had just been divided, there was probably only the huge luminous stone on the stone wall. Diane made up his mind to take this thing with him when he left. There was not much danger in this cave, but there were many treasures. Diane thought to himself, the owner of this secret room is really a good person. Diane decided to bury the skeleton. It is not good to be buried in the ground and exposed to the outside all the time. Zhao Yixian seemed to see Diane's thoughts and planned to help him. Although Granger was very fast in watching, it would take some time. Miss Granger was very willful in doing things, and Zhao Yixian understood and did not force her. Diane just turned over the skeleton and immediately found something. There seemed to be something in the arm bone of the skeleton. Diane thought about it and decided not to say it. There was only one thing. If Granger knew about it, it would be difficult to divide the spoils later. It would be better for him to put it away first and check it carefully later. Granger quickly wrote down the 7-colored poison scripture while secretly laughing. She had left the things in the dry bones for Diane on purpose. After all, That thing was more important to Yen than the iced spirit flame grass. It was easy for Granger to take it for herself, but it didn't mean much. Zhao Yixian came over and buried the dry bones with some gravel with Yen, saying, "Thank you for leaving such a treasure for us. As a junior, I am very grateful." Yen looked at Zhao Yixian and felt that this girl was also a kind-hearted person. Unlike Granger, the two stood up and clapped their hands. Granger had already written down the entire content of the 7-colored poison scripture. She smiled and handed the poison scripture to Zhao Yixian and said, "Here, I have finished reading it. Now it is yours." Zhao Yixian was a little surprised. "You finished reading it so quickly?" Granger said. "Of course, I have memorized it all in my little head." Boasting, Yen said unceremoniously on the side. "What did you say?" Granger raised his fist as big as a casserole to Yen. Yen didn't want to argue with Granger, so he said directly, "Let's take a quick look at the remaining 2 treasure chests." Humphrey. Granger was too lazy to argue with him. As the key opened the second treasure chest, the treasure inside was revealed. It was a scroll, and it read, "Juan level advanced flying fighting skills, eagle wings flying fighting skills." Zhao Yixian said, "Generally, when the cultivation reaches the Ling level, the chi can be released to achieve the effect of flying." Yen felt, "I think this thing is very suitable for me. Give it to me." Granger held the scroll in her snow-white little hand, rolled her eyes at Yen and said, "What's the hurry? Let me take a look first." Yen didn't frown to react. Zhao Yixian couldn't help laughing and said, "You just finished reading 7-color poison scripture in your little head. Do you still want to quickly memorize flying fighting skill, eagle wings?" Granger said to Zhao Yixian, "Don't underestimate me, I can remember everything I see." Yen was too lazy to pay attention to her. Fortunately, flying fighting skill, eagle wings was not long, and Granger didn't spend too much time to finish it. After reading it, this secret scroll didn't mean much to her, so she threw it to Yen. After Yen took it, he didn't rush to read it, but put it away immediately. "The things in this 3rd treasure chest belong to me completely," Granger said, and opened the 3rd treasure chest with the key. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 560, Teammates Big Pit. In the original drama, there were only Yen and Zhao Yixian, and Yen, the bad guy, perfectly controlled Zhao Yixian, so naturally all the benefits belonged to him. On this side, the adventure team had an extra Miss Granger. A good man does not fight with a woman, and Yen was at a disadvantage in the competition with Granger. Moreover, the relationship between him and Zhao Yixian was also messed up by Granger. Yen on this side did not even touch Zhao Yixian's little hand. When the 3rd treasure chest was opened, Granger saw another fighting skill manual and said with some disappointment, "The Juan level fighting skill Crazy Lion's Song. This doesn't seem to be suitable for a girl like me to practice." Yen joked, "Why not? Girls like you are most suitable for practicing Lion's Roar skill." Granger rolled her eyes. She picked up the Lion's Roar skill. "Oh no, Crazy Lion's Song," and said to Yen, "I want to trade with you. You give me the flying fighting skill, and I will give you this Lion's Roar skill." Yen shook his head and said, "No trade." Granger was too lazy to argue with him, and then asked, "Zhao Yixian, do you want to see it?" Zhao Yixian smiled and said, "I don't have such a good memory as you. Even if I read it, I can't remember it. You should keep it for yourself." Seeing that it was getting late, Yen said, "We have gained a lot tonight. It is inconvenient to stay any longer. Let's leave here quickly." Zhao Yixian and Granger both agreed. The 3 of them followed the rope down and went up again. However, just after reaching the ground, before the 3 of them could breathe in the fresh air, a large group of people suddenly rushed in from the depths of the forest. A closer look revealed that they were all members of the Wolfhead mercenary group, led by Master Mu Li. 3. It's the middle of the night. Why don't you sleep well? Why are you walking here under the moonlight? Mu Li stood up, wearing armor and holding weapons. and it was obvious that he was not here with good intentions. The wolf-head mercenaries behind him held up torches, and the light could illuminate most of the surrounding scenes. Granger wanted to shout at this moment, "You are late." In the original play, you found the cave, but here, you can't even find the cave, so you can only wait in the forest. That's right, Muley and his mercenary group did not find the cave, but waiting like this was not bad. In the original play, Muley heard that Zhao Yixian took the opportunity to go into the mountains to collect herbs to secretly look for treasures. So Muley brought more than 30 men with him, intending to catch them all in one fell swoop. Muley here, because of the butterfly effect, did not know Zhao Yixian's real purpose, but he had been pursuing Zhao Yixian for a long time, and there was no woman that Muley wanted that he could not get in Qingshan town. He had originally planned to attack Zhao Yixian tonight. Unexpectedly, he came up empty-handed. Then he found that there were 2 people missing from the Wanyao's high herb-picking team. This was too much, thinking about the abnormality of Zhao Yixian and Ms. Granger during the day. Could it be that they found the treasure during the day? As a member of the mercenary group, of course he knew about the rumors of the treasure in the Warcraft Mountains. The more he thought about it, the more possible it seemed. He could not sit there idly, and immediately rushed over with his men. Zhao Yixian. He wanted her. If there was a treasure, he, Master Muley, would want it too. Master Muley, you are making such a big fuss. What are you planning to do? Seeing that the other party did not know what they were doing late at night, Zhao Yixian asked calmly. Muley came to Zhao Yixian and said, "It's late at night. I want to report today's work to Zhao Yixian." I didn't want to see Zhao Yixian. That's why I was anxious. I was afraid that Zhao Yixian would have an accident. What accident can I have? Master Muley, you worry too much. Seeing that Zhao Yixian couldn't get the information he wanted from her, Muley looked at Yan and Granger with a vicious look. You two, what are you doing here late at night? Yan hadn't answered yet. Miss Granger did the option she thought was the most valuable. Option 1. Go up and give Muley a big slap in the face, and tell him, I can do whatever I want late at night. It's none of your business. Complete the task and get the exclusive attribute, Domineering, +1. Option 2. Deliberately reveal that the 3 of them are treasure hunters, and they also get a lot of treasures. Complete the task and get the basic attribute +2. Option 3. Directly kill Muley and all the people of the Wolf-Head mercenary group, and complete the task and get the exclusive attribute, Ruthless, +1. There is no doubt that options 1 and 3 are indeed very decisive, but the rewards are a bit disappointing. Generally, there must be one troublemaker in a group of 3. Obviously, if Granger becomes the troublemaker next, the reward will be very generous. Fortune and wealth are sought in danger. Anyway, Muley can't do anything to her, so why not put on a good show next? The script was instantly thought out in Granger's mind. Granger suddenly stood up and contradicted Master Muley, saying, "The 3 of us came out late at night to search for treasures. Such a confidential matter. Do we need to tell you, Wolf-Head mercenary group? Treasure hunting? Idiot." Yan's face turned blue with anger. He knew that Miss Granger was unreliable, but he didn't expect that she would be so careless at such a critical moment. Granger also pretended to say something wrong and quickly covered her mouth. Zhao Yixian's face also turned pale. Miss Granger was just joking. Master Muley, you are knowledgeable and you shouldn't take it seriously. Zhao Yixian hurried to save the situation and frantically looked at Granger, asking her not to make trouble. Tonight, the enemy is outnumbered. If Master Muley knew that they had obtained a lot of treasures, the consequences would be disastrous. Granger laughed inwardly, but she still had to act well. She quickly pretended that her acting skills were very rough and said, "Yes, I was just joking. What kind of treasure can there be in this wilderness?" As she spoke, a few gold coins suddenly fell out of her clothes. "Don't move." Master Muley now regarded Granger, this silly girl, as a breakthrough point and immediately told her not to pick them up. He walked over and picked up the 2 gold coins. These gold coins look like antiques. Master Muley seemed to see Granger's nervousness and fear and began to threaten her. "Miss Granger, you are just a woman. You should know how powerful our Wolf-Head mercenary group is. If you dare to deceive us and I find out, You know the consequences. Oops. Diane didn't trust Miss Granger at all. This scumbag. It's so scumbag. Now Yixian was also very anxious. If Granger played normally, it would be possible to conceal the truth tonight. It's a pity that this teammate was too scumbag. However, Now Yixian did not blame Ms. Granger too much. She was a girl with obvious shortcomings. It would be very difficult to expect her to be like an old man and do things flawlessly. Besides, the Wolfhead mercenaries came in a large group tonight, and they were not kind. It was really scary. The timid ones would probably pee their pants when they saw this scene. How dare you threaten me? Do you know who I am? Granger seemed to be forced into a corner. She didn't know where she got a wooden stick and hit Master Muley on the head. With one stick, Master Muley, who was not prepared at all, was immediately broken and bleeding. Diane was stunned. His eyes were wide open. Now Yixian also knew that it was over, completely over, and Muley's subordinates, more than 30 Wolfhead mercenaries, were also shocked. Is this girl so bold? At this time, she dared to hit Master Muley first. She really didn't want to live. Chapter 561 Great Acting. You dare to hit me? Master Muley covered his bloody head with his hands, looking unbelievable. Granger pretended to be tough on the outside but weak on the inside and said, "What's wrong with me hitting you? Do you know who I am? Not to mention hitting you, it's no problem to kill you directly." Diane on the side was in despair. You troublemaker. Even Diane didn't know her identity, even if she was a princess of a country. At this moment in the wilderness, there were more than 30 people on the other side, and you dared to hit the other side's head with a stick. It's hard to survive. Diane's mouth was bitter. He understood that in Qingshan Town, his refusal to go on an adventure with Miss Granger must have been correct. Otherwise, not only would he not be assisted by Miss Granger, but he would not know when he was killed by her. Kill them. There must be treasures on them. Master Muley, who was beaten and bleeding, no longer maintained his gentlemanly demeanor and roared hysterically. He was careless just now. He thought Ms. Granger was the best breakthrough point, weak and easy to bully, but who knew that she would not play by the rules. When she was forced into a corner, she hit him with a stick. Fortunately, it was a wooden stick. If it was a sword, Master Muley would be dead now. Muley never dreamed that Miss Granger used a wooden stick just because she was afraid that he would be dead. It was a wooden stick that was not very effective in killing people. She only used one layer of power when she attacked. She was afraid that she would kill him by accident. If she killed him, she would have to do task 3 and kill the remaining more than 30 wolf-headed mercenaries. Moreover, the reward for completing the task was far less than option 2. Zhao Yixian, catch them alive. Chop these two into meat paste. Master Muley retreated to the back and issued a cruel order. Master Muley coveted not only Zhao Yixian's beauty, but also her ability to cure diseases and save lives. As for Granger, although she looked like a beauty, she was wearing a veil and could not be seen clearly. Besides, at this moment, if he doesn't kill her, it will be hard to get rid of the hatred of the stick. Diane's mouth was even more bitter. He hadn't said anything yet, and he hadn't done anything yet, but the Wolfhead mercenary group rushed up and chopped him into meat paste. Master Muley, please think twice before you act. Now Yixian saw that the situation was out of control, but she still had to stand up, relying on her reputation in Qingshan Town, and quickly said, "They are both my friends. If there was any offense just now, I apologize for them. As for Master Muley's injury, I can help you treat it for free." Master Muley saw that Zhao Yixian was still a sensible person. She was just angry because she was hit with a stick. If the problem can be solved calmly, no one is willing to use knives and guns. Especially Master Muley knows that Zhao Yixian is not only good at curing diseases and saving lives, but she is also very good at poisoning. However, just when Master Muley was about to make excessive demands and threaten Diane and Granger's lives, he asked Zhao Yixian to agree to some of his conditions. Wouldn't it be wonderful? However, even if Granger decided to be a swindler, she would do it to the end. Zhao Yixian, don't believe him. He knows that we have treasures on us tonight, and he will definitely not let us go. If we fight to the death with them, there may be a glimmer of hope. If we give up resistance, we will definitely be brutally killed by them. Although Granger's words exacerbated the conflict, they were not without reason. When the two armies were fighting, many people who gave up resistance thought that the enemy would be merciful and let them go. Little did they know that giving up resistance would mean facing the end of being massacred and being completely killed. Especially in the Qi continent without the rule of law, murder and arson are commonplace. Diane no longer complained about Ms. Granger's frequent stupid moves. At this point, everyone was on the same boat. Zhao Yixian, Miss Granger is right. Muli will let you go, but he will never let us go. Diane was also ready to start fighting. Zhao Yixian shook her head and sighed. Tonight, she had completely torn her face with the Wolfhead mercenary group. Zhao Yixian, they are both stubborn and recalcitrant, so I will not let them go. Master Mulai tried to persuade Zhao Yixian to rebel, saying, but you are different. You must know the situation and act accordingly. Zhao Yixian said coldly, Master Mulai, do you really think I am the kind of person who would betray my friends and live in shame? As Zhao Yixian spoke, she stood beside Diane and Granger. The torchlight flickered continuously, and Master Mulai's face turned blue with anger. He covered his head wound and said, Zhao Yixian, don't force me. Granger was impatient. Stop talking nonsense. If you want to fight, then fight. He rolled up his sleeves, picked up a wooden stick and started fighting. Diane was speechless. He met Granger unexpectedly and then went on adventures together. It was simply a bad fate. How many bad things did he do in his previous life to meet her and this life? Kill. The Wolfhead mercenaries were also a group of people who would lick blood on the edge of a knife. If they really started fighting at this moment, they would not be merciful. Granger deliberately pretended not to be very strong, with only a 1-star fighter level, but he was agile and not injured. Zhao Yixian could only poison the enemy, and sprinkled a bag of powder over, which made the enemy powerless. Diane became the strongest fighter among the three. Seeing that the battle was not going to end, Muli angrily picked up his weapon and went on the field himself. 8 Extreme Collapse. Dark Power. Diane did not hold back, and at this moment, it was a life-and-death vendetta. If he showed any mercy, he would die here. The enemy had too many people, and most of them were 4-star and 5-star fighters with rich combat experience and strength that should not be underestimated. Save me. Granger pretended to be exhausted and was beaten back to the edge of the cliff. Diane was also angry and cursed. You caused the disaster, and now, you still have the nerve to call for help? Zhao Yixian couldn't bear to see Granger die, so she came to support him. Boom. Although Diane was strong, he couldn't resist 4 punches with his hands. There were too many enemies, and some old mercenaries were even stronger than him. Zhao Yixian, we have to find a way. At such a critical moment, Diane did not count on Miss Granger. He was thankful that she would not cause trouble again. Zhao Yixian did not disappoint Zhao Yan. When she felt that the conflict was irreconcilable, she had already made a backup plan. There was only a crisp bird song and a howling wind. A huge flying monster flew over from the cliff. Zhao Yixian immediately said to Zhao Yan, come here quickly. This time it was Zhao Yixian's turn to protect Granger. She hugged Granger and jumped down directly. Diane used a blow fire palm and ran over quickly. Zhao Yixian and Granger sat on the giant bird to explain, this is my blue eagle Zealand. In an emergency, Diane only sighed at Zhao Yixian's strength and did not ask any more questions. He jumped on it immediately. Blue eagle Zealand began to flap its huge wings and took the 3 people away from danger. Master Muli on the cliff cursed angrily, chase them. Master, there is a cliff below, you can't chase them. Shoot the arrows for me, shoot them down for me. Muli immediately gave the order. Countless arrows shot at him. Let me do it. Granger suddenly stood up, wielding a wooden stick vigorously, knocking down all the flying arrows. Then she said triumphantly, see, you two can escape from danger, but you still have to rely on me. Little medical fairy smiled bitterly and said nothing. Diane was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He was the most seriously injured in the battle just now. At this moment, he did not give Granger any face and said, yes, if it weren't for you talking nonsense and beating Muli with a stick, we wouldn't have to flee at all. Chapter 562. Breakthrough. Granger disagreed with Zhao Yan's complaint and said, You're not quite right. It's normal to encounter danger when traveling in the martial arts world. Diane didn't know how to talk to Granger, just like a scholar meeting a soldier. He couldn't explain his reason. After the three of them landed on the Blue Eagle's island, Zhao Yixian said, "Where are you going next?" Granger pulled Zhao Yixian and said, "What about you?" Zhao Yixian said, "I want to go back to Qingshan town." Granger immediately stopped her and said, "No, it's too dangerous. The people from the Wolfhead mercenary group will definitely not let you go." Diane also looked worried. Zhao Yixian had a rough life, and it was rare for her friends to care about her now. She felt a little warm in her heart. "Don't worry, although the Wolfhead mercenary group is powerful, it can't cover the sky with one hand in Qingshan town. Wanya Ozhai has the ability to protect me." Hearing Zhao Yixian say this, Granger and Diane felt much more relieved. Option 1. Agree to Zhao Yixian's return to Qingshan town, but carefully remind her to be careful in everything. Completing the task will reward you with basic attribute +1. Option 2. Let Zhao Yixian and Diane go to the martial arts world together. Completing the task will reward you with exclusive attribute, Jiangyu, +1. Option 3. Knock Zhao Yixian unconscious directly and grill her Blue Eagle Zealand. Completing the task will reward you with 1 bucket of grilled chicken legs undoubtedly. Option 3 is the most ridiculous, and Granger will definitely not choose this. Option 2 will change the course of history. Do option 1. Granger told Zhao Yixian to be careful, and when she is well rested, he will go to Qingshan town to see her. Zhao Yixian nodded. She asked, "What about you guys?" Granger glanced at Diane and said, "I'm afraid that Diane, this brat, is not mature enough, and will do bad things. So, I decided to stay and protect him." Diane was about to jump up when he heard this and said, "No, no, no, I still want to live a few more years. You should go and harm others." Zhao Yixian couldn't help laughing. "Well, we are also people who have experienced life and death together, so let's not say such polite words. And I can see that Ms. Granger's life experience is not simple. Diane, take good care of her. Maybe she can help you solve big problems in the future." Granger immediately said, "Did you hear that, you little bastard? Hurry up and curry favor with me." Diane was speechless. At first, this Granger pretended to be a lady and called him a young man, but now she has started to call him a little bastard. After Zhao Yixian left, Diane looked at Granger and felt uncomfortable. Let's separate." Diane said, "I will attract the firepower of the Wolfhead mercenary group, and you just leave here." "Why? Do you look down on me?" Granger didn't seem to plan to leave, and then said, "If I leave, don't regret it." What did Diane regret? He would only regret not getting rid of this troublemaker earlier. However, Diane was not a heartless person. "It's okay if you don't leave, but you must be careful in the days ahead and don't cause any more trouble. The people from the Wolfhead mercenary group will definitely not let us go. Next, I will work hard to improve my cultivation." Granger nodded and said, "No problem, I want to practice too." Granger took out the book Crazy Lion's Song and said to Diane, "How about you exchange your flying fighting skill, Eagle Wing, with me?" Diane sneered, "Aren't you very smart? You have memorized both the 7-color Poison Sutra and the flying fighting skill, Eagle Wing, in your head. If you have the ability, you can practice all 3 together." After saying that, Diane stopped talking to this Miss Granger. She was too talkative. If Diane continued to chat with her, he would probably talk for a whole day and night. It was a waste of time. He had to hurry up and practice. "Don't underestimate people," Granger said, waving his fist, and turned away. In the past, Diane only thought that Granger was cute and threatened by waving her fist, but when he thought about the wolf-headed mercenary Muley, who was beaten to a bloody pulp by Granger, he knew that this girl was fierce and ruthless. She is really a person who dares to take action, no matter who you are. "Where are you going?" Granger said without turning her head. "To practice." "Don't worry, I will find you." After that, she disappeared from Diane's sight. Diane shook his head helplessly. It's a miracle that such a girl can live in such a place for so long. Diane was too lazy to care about her anymore, and he also started to find a place to practice. This time he got a lot of things, and he had to digest them well. First, swallow the pills given by Yao Lao to repair his injuries and improve his own fighting spirit. As long as he fights, his experience and strength will be improved. Then he started to practice the flying fighting skill, eagle wings. This thing is not simple. It actually contains a trace of the residual soul of a flying monster. Flying is an ability that every human desires. But in the Qi continent, the conditions are harsh. One must reach the Ling level before being able to release Qi and spread wings to fly. And this rare flying skill, eagle wings, perfectly makes up for this. Even if Yan only has the Du's cultivation, as long as he practices, he can release the ability to fly. Yan was very excited. Yao Lao also woke up at this time. Seeing the treasure Yan obtained, he praised it greatly. Not bad, not bad. This flying skill is a good thing for you. I will guide you to practice. Yan complained a little. Teacher, why didn't you come out when we were in danger? Yao Lao said, that little danger can be called danger. Although there are many people in the Wolfhead mercenary group, they are all Du's cultivation. If this little trouble is left to the teacher, then you should not take the risk. Yan touched his nose awkwardly. That's true, but 2 fists can't beat 4 hands. There were too many enemies, and they were trapped on the edge of the cliff. If it weren't for Yixian's Blue Eagle Jalan, the consequences would be really disastrous. 1-on-1, or even 1-on-3, Yan would not be afraid, but 1-on more than 30 fighters, Yan, is not a god of war. He really can't resist. Don't forget it. Don't think too much. Start practicing. At this time, while observing the flying fighting skills, eagle wings, Yao Lao spoke. Where is that Ms. Granger? Yan replied, the little medical fairy has returned to Qingshan town. Granger ran away to practice, and when the practice has some results, she will appear. Yan didn't want to mention Granger. That girl is too bad. Yan, you have a good opportunity. That little medical fairy has a very special physique. Yao Lao didn't say it. Even Granger, I can't see through it, but for some reason, I have a sense of déjà vu, as if she is someone we know. Yan didn't understand what teacher Yao Lao really meant. He smiled bitterly and said, they are both really not simple. Let's not mention them. I'm going to start practicing. In a world where strength is respected, you still need strong strength to speak. Miss Granger was not idle either. However, she did not practice Crazy Lion's song nor Yan's flying fighting skill, eagle wings, nor did she study the 7-colored poison sutra too much. These things were dispensable and unimportant to her. She felt that her strength would break through as she went on adventures. During this period, her cultivation had already reached the peak of the great fighting master. As long as she retreated for a few days, she would be able to break through the fighting spirit, cultivation realm. Chapter 563, Pure Lotus Demonic Fire. As a god who traveled through another world, Granger's cultivation speed is quite remarkable. A few days later, Granger succeeded. The surging chi in his body was enough to barely show chi, and condensed chi into wings. However, in order to truly fly without obstacles, he still needed to upgrade to another level, Dwang. From chi, to chi, grade chi, Dling, and Wang. Now Granger is already a Dling master, and Yan is still hovering at the star. It is understandable. Although Yan and Granger are both travelers, travelers are also divided into levels. Hermione Granger is undoubtedly the top level, while Yan is more like native. If Hermione hadn't appeared and taken out ice cream, Yan would have even forgotten that he was still a traveler. Although Granger has been releasing high-level magic, Yan's ring Yao Lao, he is a soul body, and Yao Lao is not weak, so he is less affected. Therefore, Yao Lao could sense that Granger had the feeling of Hermione from the Zhao family, but Yan could not sense it. After Granger became a Dling master, she took out the medicine cauldron to cultivate some elixirs, and after eating them, she consolidated her cultivation. Even without chi cultivation, Granger's strength should not be underestimated, but since she decided to take root in the Qi continent, she must obtain new power here. More skills are better than less. Then, the flying fighting skills memorized in the head, eagle wings and 7-colored poison sutra, were read out from the brain through magic. It was more convenient. Like in Hogwarts, Principal Dumbledore still needed to use a magic wand to extract them from his head and put them in the meditation basin. Granger's magic was more magical, so naturally this step was not needed. Just like a solid-state hard drive, it was enough to write and read. 3 skills. Granger practiced at the same time, and then she would stun Diane, that stinky boy. Diane also spent several days on this side, without Miss Granger's quarrels. He was a little uncomfortable, but fortunately he was concentrating on practicing and didn't think too much. His improvement this time was not small. Of course, compared with Miss Granger, the gap was naturally huge. But for himself, Diane was very satisfied. Flying fighting skill, eagle wings, is not just a technique. The most important thing is the residual soul of the flying monster in the scroll. After absorbing this residual soul, Diane can perform flying fighting skills more easily. Granger didn't have the scroll, and she probably couldn't condense fighting spirit into wings even after practicing for several years. Diane laughed secretly. Little did he know that Granger could fly at will even without the flying broom, and even with the help of space magic props, he could travel through time and space at will. Eagle wing tattoos gradually appeared on Diane's back. This was the residual soul power of the purple cloud eagle wings. Diane began to release it, and then he condensed the purple cloud wings. Diane with wings naturally became more handsome. Yao Lao also exclaimed, and then warned Diane that his current fighter strength was too weak to fly for a long time, and he should not use it when it was unnecessary. Diane understood. He was very happy that he had successfully practiced the flying fighting skill, eagle wings. Then he thought of something and immediately took out the thing he found in the withered arm of the cave from his ring, a wrinkled piece of parchment. After looking at it for a while, he couldn't understand it. It didn't look like a fighting skill. Teacher, take a look. What is this? Yao Lao didn't care at first, but when he saw it clearly, he was immediately shocked. It was the first time that Diane saw his teacher Yao Lao like this. Teacher, what's your reaction? This thing is really that scary. Diane didn't even dare to hold it with his hands. Silly boy. This is a broken map. Let me take a look. Yao Lao was a little excited. Diane, you are indeed a person with great luck. Such a good thing can be easily obtained in a broken cave. Diane was also infected by the teacher and began to get nervous. Then teacher, what is recorded on this treasure map? After a careful observation, Yao Lao confirmed, it should record the address of the third-ranked, Pure Lotus Demon Fire, on a list of strange fires. Pure Lotus Demon Fire? This name doesn't sound simple, and Diane's lips are a little dry. Teacher boasted about how powerful he was when he was alive. He also possessed the Bone Spirit Cold Fire, which ranked 11th on the list of different fires. How terrifying was the third-ranked Pure Lotus Demon Fire? Diane clearly remembered that when the Zhao family and the Jiali family were fighting, the other party's great fighting master was quickly reduced to ashes under the Bone Spirit Cold Fire. Diane was a little excited. Teacher, can this Pure Lotus Demon Fire be absorbed by the burning decision? Yao Lao said seriously, it should be possible, but with your current cultivation, you still don't have to think too much. Yao Lao threw the incomplete treasure map to Diane and said, keep it, this great opportunity will come later. Yes. Diane nodded carefully. This is the third-ranked different fire. When Miss Granger appeared again, it was already some time later. For the system option task, Miss Granger had to come. At this moment, Diane was still practicing, but this time he was no longer practicing chi, but practicing bones and external skills. Yao Lao's devilish training prepared a lot of wooden stakes for Diane, and various harsh conditions were to train Diane's agility, balance, and body explosiveness, etc. It looked extremely hard. Granger only had a simple task of signing in and punching in, and after obtaining basic attribute points, she added the new system inscription attribute, Fighting Spirit +5, Alchemy +7. Just adding these 2 items, it still improved very quickly. After all, Granger has many system option tasks every day, but some of the task rewards are messy, and not all of them have basic attribute point rewards. Diane was sweating profusely while practicing, and his whole body was covered with external injuries, but the visible improvement still made him ecstatic, until he suddenly smelled the particularly delicious aroma of barbecue. Then he noticed that Miss Granger was back. Diane's expression was a little strange. He jumped down and sighed. The Warcraft mountain range is so big. You can find me. You are really amazing, Granger said bluntly. Stop talking nonsense. Fresh roast chicken and roast duck. Do you want to eat it? Diane said. You didn't poison it? Then you'd better not eat it. Diane smiled and said, just a joke. Although Granger is a troublemaker, her cooking skills are really amazing. When he was alone, he only focused on practicing, and his food and accommodation were very poor. It was rare to have such delicious food, so of course he would not refuse. It smells so good after taking a bite. His mouth was full of the fragrance of barbecue, and then a sip of rice wine. Life is just like this. Granger, although you have many shortcomings, I have to admit that you really know how to enjoy life, Granger said. Of course, as a person, you can't treat yourself badly. Diane nodded. He suddenly asked, during this period of time, I have practiced hard and improved a lot. How about you? Have you practiced the lion's roar? Granger said proudly. I am definitely better than you. I have mastered all the skills found in the cave. Boasting. Diane didn't believe it. The flying fighting skill, eagle wings, can not only be learned by reading The Secret, but also requires swallowing the residual soul of the purple cloud eagle wing on the scroll. How talented is Granger to be able to learn it at a glance. There are also the 7-colored poison sutra and Crazy Lion's song. Anyway, Diane doesn't believe it. Granger didn't care about Zhao Yan. If you don't believe it, forget it. Chapter 564. Please don't come. Diane's training was almost coming to an end. On this day, he successfully broke through to the 6-star fighter, and then came to Granger to show off. Granger sneered, you are only a 6-star fighter, what's there to be proud of? Granger looked like he was bragging. At your level, I can easily kill you like pinching an ant. Diane was speechless. You are not bragging. We are still good friends. Diane clearly remembered the scene when Granger cried for help during the battle with the Wolfhead mercenary group that night. Diane and Jiaxian did not cry for help, but she did. I don't know how she had the audacity to say that she could kill a 6-star fighter at will. If Diane knew that Granger had broken through the Ling cultivation and could really kill a 6-star fighter at will, I don't know what he would think. That day, Diane continued to practice under the waterfall. The strong water flow kept beating Diane's body. It was really difficult for ordinary people to resist for a long time, but Diane had thick skin and flesh, and now he could remain calm. Suddenly, Diane's ears moved. He sensed something and rushed out immediately. Granger ran very fast. She actually learned some flying fighting skills and was as light as a swallow. However, because she had not devoured the residual soul of the purple cloud eagle wing, she could not condense a complete purple cloud wing, but her speed was much faster than that of ordinary people. Diane, look, I brought you some good ingredients, you go and deal with it. Diane saw the giant monster chasing Granger, and his face turned pale. Fuck, I knew this Granger was a troublemaker. Granger was chasing a 2nd-level monster, the Blizzard Demon Ape. The strength of this monster was not simple. Even with Diane's strength as a 6-star fighter, it was difficult to kill it instantly. Didn't you say that you could kill a 6-star fighter at will? Can't you easily deal with such a 2nd-level monster? Diane teased. Granger was not simple-minded either. He also said, I was looking for food, so I brought you an opponent for training. How can you live up to my kindness? You caused the trouble. You should solve it yourself. Diane didn't want to help her, but Granger was too fast. Diane didn't know what secret method she used, but she actually ran ahead of him. Diane fell behind, and the 2nd-level magic beast Blizzard Demon Ape was furious and smashed towards Diane, the big victim. You are so cruel. Diane cursed angrily, but at this moment he had no way to run for his life like Granger, although he used the flying fighting skill, eagle wings, and his speed should be faster than Granger. But he, Diane, was a man after all, so it was natural for him to fight at this time. After taking off the heavy Xuanzong ruler, Diane's whole body immediately became light. He shouted. Not only did he not run away, but he fought with the Blizzard Demon Ape. Unable to win, Diane was covered in wounds. He turned around, picked up the Xuanzong ruler with his bloody palm, and used the 8 extreme collapse. Boom. Finally, The second lethal magic beast Blizzard Demon Ape was killed. Diane was exhausted and sat on a boulder to catch his breath. At this time, Miss Granger, whose clothes were not dirty, jumped out and said with a smile, "Sure enough, Diane, you didn't disappoint me. Look how good I am to you. I specially brought you combat opponents to help you hone your skills. I'm too lazy to care about you." Diane wanted to scold her, but when he thought that the other party was a girl and he had eaten a lot of delicious food made by her during this period, he could only complain. "I feel that if this goes on, I will be killed by you sooner or later." Granger nodded and said, "Okay, next time I won't provoke such a terrifying magic beast." Granger walked to the body of the magic beast and said, "But this magic beast is really pitiful. It was killed by you like this." Diane was so angry that his liver hurt. "I'm not pitiful." Next, Granger did not provoke the magic beast again. However, her system option task had a new way of playing. That day, Diane continued to practice, and Granger ran over from a distance in a panic. "Diane, run! The Wolfhead mercenary group is here." Diane was very upset. Granger must have been careless and her whereabouts were discovered. This troublemaker also led the Wolfhead mercenary group here. Speechless, Diane really wanted to separate from this Miss Granger. One cannot face so many troubles just for a bite of food. Granger ran to the front again, turned around and saw Diane motionless and said, "Why don't you run? There are many enemies." At that moment, Diane's face was grim. He held the Xuanzong ruler in his hand and said in a deep voice, "What do you think I have been practicing so hard for so long, to continue to run for his life? How is it possible? It's just right that they are here." Diane turned into a martial arts fanatic and said bloodthirstily, "It's just right to test how much I have improved recently." As he said that, Diane actually took the initiative to attack. The people of the Wolfhead mercenary group were originally chasing Granger, and they wanted to do some bad guys in this wilderness. Unexpectedly, a bloody Diane suddenly rushed over. "Diane, he is Diane. Kill him. The secret treasure of the cave is on him." The several people from the Wolfhead mercenary group who were found did not realize the seriousness of the problem at all, but decided to kill Diane and take away his opportunity. A battle began. "Diane, I'll help you." Diane was afraid that Granger would make things worse. It was already difficult for him to fight against several people alone. If Granger was caught by the enemy again, then Diane would be tied up. "Don't come, I beg you." Listen, how humble it is to be cheated. It's so humble to Granger, but it's very cruel to the Wolfhead mercenary group. Diane was very cruel. He had a grudge against the Wolfhead mercenary group, and he had nowhere to vent his resentment after being cheated by Granger during this period. But Yao Lao's devil training was also hard, and all kinds of pressure finally broke out at this moment. After the battle, the people of the Wolfhead mercenary group died very miserably. Diane became the winner like a god of war. Granger then jumped down from the tall tree and said, "Diane, you were too cruel. You should have left a survivor and asked how many people from the Wolfhead mercenary group were chasing us." Diane felt that Granger was right, but he was too excited to fight just now. As a result, when he came to his senses, he had killed all the enemies. It was Granger's appearance that caused him trouble again and again, making him lose his composure. "No matter how many there are, kill them one by one," Diane said stubbornly. "It's not safe here. We have to change to another place." Granger pretended to be pitiful and said, "I have caused you so much trouble. Don't you plan to abandon me?" Diane smiled bitterly. "Anyway, even if you don't provoke the people from the Wolfhead mercenary group, I will go find them. Let's go." Diane was too lazy to say more. Granger praised, "I can't believe you are really like a man, Diane." As a martial arts fanatic, Diane has always been a pair of enemies with Granger, and he didn't treat Granger as a girl he liked. At this moment, Granger suddenly praised. The breeze blew up her white dress, her long hair, and her slender body, which actually had a kind of girlish beauty. Diane quickly shook his head. It was an illusion. It was all an illusion, and he woke himself up. This was a troublemaker, and he must not have any thoughts, otherwise he would be tricked to death by her at any time. However, Diane couldn't help but say, "We have known each other for so long, And you are still wearing a veil. Don't let me see your true face. Do you look so ugly that you can't show yourself? In the latter sentence, Diane was insulting Granger. Granger was not polite and said, "Do you know why I wear a veil? Because I look more beautiful than Zhao Yixian. I don't want you to see my true face. I am afraid that you can't resist it and will fall in love with me uncontrollably." Diane made a retching expression and said mercilessly, "I have seen many beauties, but this is the first time I see you so shameless." Chapter 565, Disaster Poison Body. Granger and Diane scolded each other, almost to some kind of tacit understanding. Fearing that the location would be exposed, Diane discussed with Granger and chose a new place to settle down. Diane rejected Granger's proposal mercilessly. "I don't believe you." Diane spoke very directly. Granger also said bluntly, "The dog bites Lu Dongbin, and doesn't know the good heart. I can't bear your kindness." Diane no longer paid attention to Granger and began to concentrate on practicing. The Wolfhead mercenary group soon discovered some movements, and the men didn't even find the corpses. There is naturally no shortage of wild beasts in the Warcraft mountain range. Some corpses exposed in the wilderness will naturally be eaten and nothing will be left. Some people speculate that they encountered a Warcraft, and Mu Shi, the father of Master Mu Li, was a ruthless man who was able to create the Wolfhead mercenary group. Naturally, he was very extraordinary. When he heard Mu Li mention Diane and Granger, he knew that it must be related to them. Cut the grass to the root. Mu Shi began to educate his son. "It is because you did not do things cleanly that you brought such enemies to the Wolfhead mercenary group. Father taught me a lesson." Mu Li was also very angry. That day, he really wanted to kill them. If it were not for Yixian's Blue Eagle Jalan, it would not have been this result. Continue to send people and make sure to kill that Jian to prevent future troubles. Mu Li thought of the culprit and asked, "Father, how should we deal with that Zhao Yixian?" The father and son had a secret discussion. They would never have dreamed that Granger followed the instructions of the mission map and was directly in their room. Granger used the time converter, and came here silently, which was still very easy. Killing Mu Li and Mu Shi was naturally easy, but it was not necessary. At present, it is just a check-in task to see how they want to deal with Zhao Yan. It must be said that a carpet search does not seem to be of much use to Jian. That guy is also protected by Yao Lao. You stop here. Maybe Jian is too focused on his cultivation and forgets about it after a long time. But you keep looking for trouble. Even clay people can get angry, let alone humans. You are looking for death. No one can be blamed. Mu Li is still thinking about the little medical fairy. His father Mu Shi seems to know what he is thinking and angrily said, "You useless thing. You can't even handle a woman." In Mu Shi's opinion, the little medical fairy is indeed famous in Qingshan town, but Mu Li has many opportunities. The longer he delays, the less chance he has. Now it has become so difficult to end. "Father, I didn't mean that. Zhao Yixian and I are enemies now, and a real man should have a wife." Mu Li's words were praised by Mu Shi, who said, "Well said. If that's the case, then we can't let that woman go." Mu Li immediately said excitedly, "I will take people to kill her tonight." That Zhao Yixian is so bold and reckless that she offended our Wolfhead mercenary group and dared to come back to Qingshan town in a swagger. She simply doesn't take us seriously. Wait. Mu Shi thought more and said, "Wan Yazhai has a lot of influence in Qingshan town, and there are many mercenaries supporting that Zhao Yixian. Let's spread the word that Zhao Yixian got the secret treasure in the cave in the Monster Mountain range." Everyone is greedy. After a long time, even Wan Yazhai will not be able to resist attacking Zhao Yixian. By then, Zhao Yixian will be deserted by everyone, and it will be the time for us to kill her. Mu Shi immediately flattered him. "Father, what a good plan." After listening to their plan, Granger nodded and said, "It's a good idea." Just because of Jian and Zhao Yixian, don't they have other things to do in the Wolfhead mercenary group? Forget it. Granger is too lazy to understand such little villains. There are always people with strange ideas in this world. If you want to understand them, you will waste a lot of time. Just take a look and treat it as a joke. There is no need to overinterpret it. After all, Granger is very busy. 3 choice task. Either blow up the Wolfhead Mercenary Group or hold a concert in the Wolfhead Mercenary Group, or go to Yixian to take a look. Granger will of course choose the third one. Now Yixian just changed into clean clothes, locked herself in the room, and started reading the 7-color Poison Sutra. This is a rare opportunity. I hope it can solve her special physical condition. Now Yixian has a rough life. Since childhood, she has become a disaster star hated by everyone because of her poisonous body. How this terrible poisonous body appeared on the Dqi continent is no longer verifiable, but when this poisonous body erupts, its terrifying degree is enough to kill everyone. It is not easy for Yixian to survive tenaciously until now without any support. Granger sympathizes with Yixian's experience, but this is also her opportunity. When the time comes, Yixian will also achieve success. Of course, the premise is that Granger will protect her all the way. After completing the task, Granger used the portkey to return to Yan again. Facing the threat of the Wolfhead Mercenary Group, Yan was eager to become stronger, so he asked the teacher to teach him more powerful fighting skills. The master and apprentice still had some concerns about whether Granger would learn secretly. The main reason was that Yao Lao didn't want others to discover him. Yan looked around and said, "At this time, Granger should go to find food." "Teacher, please teach me." Yao Lao didn't delay and taught Yan another trick Earth-level fighting skill, Flame-Devouring Wave Ruler, in addition to 8 Extreme Collapse. This move is specially used to match the Xuanzong Ruler, and it is incredibly powerful when used. Yan was extremely excited. Although he obtained a secret treasure in the cave, Yan knew that his real secret treasure was Yao Lao. Yao Lao casually took out some fighting skills, which were all extremely powerful. "Thank you, teacher." Yan began to practice according to the method provided by Yao Lao. When Granger came back, she pretended not to know. In fact, she had already learned it secretly. More skills are better than less. Although she may not be able to use many moves, the more she learned, the clearer she understood the moves on the Dqi continent. When she reached the Mahayana realm, she would be able to create her own fighting skills. The fighting skills that completely suited her own. The reason why she didn't use them now was mainly because she didn't want Yan to know that she knew all the moves he learned. "Oh, what kind of fighting skill is this? It looks quite powerful." Granger pretended to be surprised. Yan said proudly, "You are a girl, you don't need to know the fighting skills of killing people." Granger pretended to be angry and said, "Who are you looking down on? Do you think I don't have a few tricks?" Yan said, uninterested, "Whether you have tricks or not is none of my business. Don't disturb me, I want to practice." Granger sneered, "Practice well. If you have the ability, you don't have to eat or drink water, just concentrate on practicing." It turned out that she came to call him to eat. So, she was really hungry. Yan immediately changed his face and hurriedly flattered, "Miss Granger, look at what you said. People are iron and rice is steel, and they will be hungry if they don't eat for a meal." Miss Granger is extremely beautiful and has superb cooking skills. She is really a rare outstanding person in the world. Granger continued to mock. "Aren't you afraid that I will disturb your practice?" Yan put away the Xuanzong ruler, wiped the sweat off his face and said, "No, Miss Granger came to call me to eat to give me Yan face. Most people don't even have this treatment." Chapter 566 Too Cunning. This is true. Not everyone has the opportunity to taste Granger's cooking skills. Even at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, Harry and Ron often ate the food Hermione gave them, but it was all prepared, not made by Granger herself. Now, Granger has had enough of the food rewarded by the system, and she began to learn to cook by herself. In fact, even if Yan was not around, Granger would cook for herself. When people live in this world, apart from sleeping, the only thing left is eating. Granger attaches great importance to eating. To outsiders, Granger is like a beautiful cook, cooking and taking care of Yan. But in fact, in Granger's eyes, Yan is just like her own puppy. She cooks for herself, and gives Yan some of the food she can't finish. That's probably what it means. "It smells so good." Yan's mouth was full of grease. He put down his bowl and chopsticks and sighed. "I thought I would lose more than 10 pounds when I was out, wandering around, and sleeping in the open air. I didn't expect to meet Miss Granger." Now I feel stronger. Granger didn't care about Jian's flattery. She could understand Jian's feelings. Stop talking nonsense and wash the dishes quickly. Okay, Jian had no complaints. Granger cooked for him, so he was responsible for washing the dishes. It was not a big deal. It was just that Granger was a lady from a wealthy family and had strict requirements for cleanliness. Jian had to wash the dishes very cleanly. Yao Lao sighed at Jian's good fortune. He was obviously practicing hard in the Warcraft Mountains, and Ms. Granger helped him cook. Of course, Yao Lao also saw it. Miss Granger didn't cook specifically for Jian, but cooked more food so that Jian could eat for free. However, Yao Lao was very strict with Jian's practice. That day, Yao Lao thought of using 23 kinds of fire-attributed herbs to refine, burning blood, and applied this thing to Jian's whole body to speed up his cultivation of fire-attributed qi. However, the process was quite painful. Granger heard Jian's screams from a distance and asked, "Jian, why are you howling like a ghost?" Jian said helplessly, "Nothing, don't worry about me." It was too painful, but in order to become stronger, Jian had to fight. A few days passed quickly, and that day, Granger brought back a dozen wolf-headed mercenaries. Jian was used to being cheated, and he didn't complain. He picked up the Xuanzong ruler and started fighting. Granger jumped onto the tree and watched Jian killing people mercilessly below. After all the people of the wolf-head mercenary group were killed, Granger applauded and praised. "Not bad. Your strength is improving quickly. So many people are not enough for you to kill." Last time, Jian was injured when he dealt with a few people from the wolf-head mercenary group. This time, Jian dealt with more than a dozen people, and it felt like he still had some strength left. Jian quickly became stronger under this kind of pressure and revenge. Not bad. Jian was still in the mood to joke. "You can bring more enemies next time. There are not enough to kill." Granger said, "Look how crazy you are." However, the reason why I was discovered by this group of wolf-head mercenaries when I went to collect herbs this time is mainly because Jian was puzzled. "You collected herbs? Aren't you going to prepare ingredients?" Granger rolled his eyes. "Don't pay attention to these details, and don't interrupt me." Granger was very strong. Jian was obviously the one who just killed everyone, but this Granger was not afraid of him at all. Jian was also often fed by Granger, so he would not get angry with Granger for no reason. "Okay, go on," Granger said. "I found a leading team of the wolf-head mercenary group, whose leader is an 8-star fighter, and I have also investigated the identity of the leader. His name is He Meng, and he is the third in command of the wolf-head mercenary group. This time, he sent a large number of men to take your life." Jian. Life? Jian was too lazy to argue with Granger. He said, "I can't tell. You are not good at fighting, but you are quite good at gathering intelligence." Jian didn't know whether the information Granger had gathered was completely correct, but she was quite good at obtaining so much information about the enemy. Granger smiled and said, "So, Jian, when you heard that the 8-star fighter He Meng was coming to kill you, did you plan to run away immediately, or did you plan to do something big?" Jian sneered. "It's the same as if the people of the wolf-head mercenary group didn't kill you. You are a woman. If you are caught by the other party, you will definitely die more miserably than me." Granger also sneered. "Are you cursing me? You don't have any chicken legs tonight, so just eat white rice." "No, no, no." With his lifeline held, Jian quickly begged for mercy. "I'm concerned about you. You said it yourself. The enemy has come with an 8-star fighter. This is not a small character. If you continue to be so reckless, I can't protect you." Granger said, "Who needs your protection? I'm very powerful. You should take care of yourself. I have many ways to save my life." Jian stopped talking about this. Granger's identity is not simple. Although she looks reckless, she can indeed escape danger every time. Thinking back carefully, after experiencing so many dangers, this woman seems to have never been injured. She is also very cunning. Every time she encounters danger, the first thing she does is to run. But, she is also very good at causing trouble. That night, she was besieged by Master Mu with more than 30 people, and she hit Master Mu on the head with a stick. This courage is not something that ordinary women can have. You just said we're going to do something big? Jian was a little tempted and asked, "How do you want to do it?" Granger smiled. If you're not afraid of the 8 starfighters, then tonight, when the moon is dark and the wind is strong, kill people. Night. Hee. Both of them laughed knowingly. We've been hunted by the Wolfhead mercenary group for a long time, and this time it's finally our turn to hunt them. Diane's eyes were fierce. Since they dare to come, let them never come back. Night fell quickly. Diane didn't eat much tonight, he explained. If you eat too much, it will be difficult to kill people tonight. Indeed. The two put on their night clothes. Diane sighed. Isn't this the night clothes that Zhao Yixian wore last time? Diane could still smell the fragrance of the girl. Granger was indeed a lady from a noble family. Even in the wilderness, she could be clean and fragrant. Granger replied, no, Zhao Yixian didn't return the one she wore. Diane was speechless. So, you originally had more than 2 nightgowns? When Diane asked for a nightgown during the last cliff cave exploration, Granger replied that he didn't have one. Diane still felt bad about this. Granger said awkwardly, we weren't very familiar with each other at that time. Besides, if we encounter an enemy, Zhao Yixian and I might not be recognized if we cover our faces and wear black clothes. You are different, with your face exposed. It's hard for others not to recognize you. At this moment, Diane finally understood. It turns out that Zhao Yixian and Granger were wearing nightgowns that night, and he was wearing ordinary clothes. It turns out that he was just a cannon fodder. He was specially called to attract the hatred of the enemy. Diane figured it out, and finally understood why Granger was so good at causing trouble and still alive. So cunning. You are amazing. Diane didn't know what to say to Granger. Oh, why are you still talking about the past? Granger said. Be serious. The tent camp in front is the head team of the Wolfhead mercenary group. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 567 8 Starfighter. Diane looked around carefully. The enemy was very arrogant. They lit a fire in the Magic Beast mountain range and set up tents randomly on flat ground. If there were a large number of magic beasts attacking at night, they would not know how they died. They might think that they had an 8 starfighter, so they dared to act recklessly. Diane looked at Granger beside him. This woman was much more cautious. She slept on a tree every night and said it was to prevent wolves. Diane felt that she was protecting herself from him. She looked down on people. She saw through it but didn't say it out loud. At this moment, Granger didn't know what Diane was thinking. She made a gesture and said, I'll deal with the dozen outside. You deal with the 8 starfighter in the tent. Diane was stunned and said, I don't mean to look down on you. Although the dozen outside are not as powerful as the 8 starfighter inside, can you really deal with it? In Diane's impression, Granger ran away when she encountered danger. Diane even suspected that Granger's real strength was to escape. TSK, who are you looking down on? Granger said, remember when I went to collect herbs during the day? Diane was immediately surprised. Could it be? Granger said proudly, yes, that night in the cave, I memorized some of the poison secrets in the 7-colored poison scripture. Don't think that you are the only one practicing during this period. I was not idle either. Diane was scared, although he didn't believe that Granger could remember the entire 7-colored poison scripture. If Granger put poison in Diane's food, even if he remembered 1 or 2 poison secrets, I'm afraid that Diane's bones would be black by now. Fortunately, I treat you well. Otherwise if you poison me, I would have no ability to resist. Diane sighed. This Granger is about to become the second little medical fairy. Granger smiled and said, so, don't offend me, otherwise, you know the consequences. Diane laughed dryly. Stop talking nonsense and start showing your achievements. Granger really took out a few gas bombs. These were not modern weapons, but Granger made them according to the 7-colored poison sutra. Watch out! Granger quickly threw down a few gas bombs. What's going on? The Wolfhead mercenaries near the tent immediately became alert, and then a lot of thick smoke filled the air. There is an enemy attack. Hurry up and pick up your weapons. No, This smoke is poisonous. A large number of mercenaries began to feel dizzy and fell down with foam at the mouth. So poisonous, Yan's scalp was numb. A dozen mercenaries fell down immediately. You have this thing. But you are chased by the wolf-head mercenaries? Yan thought of the scene when Granger brought a dozen mercenaries here during the day. Granger said, "This thing is not easy to refine. I have to use it on the blade. Aluoluo is certainly not worthy of me. So I'll let you practice. What do you think I am, your personal thug?" Yan was speechless, but this was not the time to argue with Granger. He immediately said, "The smoke has cleared. Are those people dead?" "No. This poisonous smoke only has an anesthetic effect. It won't kill anyone." Granger smiled brightly and said, "I need you to go down and finish off the enemy." Yan stretched out his hand helplessly. "Is there an antidote? I'm afraid I'll get poisoned if I go down." Sure enough, Granger spread his hands and said, "It's already amazing that I can refine this kind of smoke bomb. There's no time to refine the antidote. You just need to use your fighting spirit to purify your blood all the time. The poison won't kill you." Yan seemed to have guessed that Granger was so unreliable. "I'd better rely on myself." Yan made a simple mask, put some refreshing herbs in it, and then jumped down. Although the poisonous smoke had dissipated, there was still some medicine powder on the ground. As soon as Yan landed, he felt dizzy and quickly mobilized his fighting spirit to protect his heart meridian. This poison is so overbearing. Using poison is simply a fatal level of damage to people with low cultivation. Yan was not merciful. Since they were enemies, he had to kill them, finish off the enemy and kill all the people from the wolf-head mercenary group. Only the H-Tar fighter Himeng was left in the tent. As soon as Yan approached the tent, a deadly danger surged in his mind. He immediately retreated without hesitation and raised the Xuanzong ruler to defend himself. Sure enough, a burly man rushed out of the tent. This man was Himeng, the third in command of the wolf-head mercenary group. He had killed countless people to be able to sit in his current position. Knowing that the wolf-head mercenary group had an enemy named Yan recently, Himeng volunteered to bring his men to kill. Unexpectedly, before finding Yan's whereabouts, this hateful Yan actually came to kill himself. What's even more hateful is, this stinky boy didn't follow the routine, but used despicable means to poison. The sound of the gas bomb exploding was not loud, but the sound of bodies falling one by one was indeed very loud in the middle of the night. The sound of Yan's quick finishing blow also made the H-Tar fighter Himeng choose to lie dormant, because Himeng didn't know how many people were coming. Although Himeng practiced the rock technique, he was ready. When the murderer entered the tent, he would definitely kill him with one blow. However, Himeng still underestimated Yan's vigilance. Before the person entered the tent, Yan felt the murderous aura. He immediately retreated, knowing that this stinky boy had noticed it. He cursed in his heart, "Cunning, go to hell." Himeng attacked directly. This punch had Himeng's 20 years of skill, and ordinary fighters couldn't resist it. If the flesh resisted, the bones could be broken directly. However, Yan used the Xuanzong ruler to resist. Boom! A crisp metal collision sound, so strong, Yan felt his blood surging. As expected of an H-Tar fighter, his killing punch was indeed extraordinary. However, Yan also felt the enemy's limit and immediately began to fight back. Extreme collapse, a terrifying blow. This time it was Himeng's turn to defend. "You brat. You probably don't know that my best skill is defense." Boom. This move directly made Himeng retreat several steps, but he was still able to hold on. "Boy, is this the limit of your ability?" Yan sneered. Earth-level fighting skill, flame-splitting wave-devouring ruler. This move was learned by Yan recently. This move was extremely powerful. Combined with the heavy weapon Xuanzong ruler, it smashed the H-Tar fighter Himeng with a move that was like destroying the world. When Himeng was about to dodge, he felt that he was poisoned. The ground outside was covered with medicine powder. If you stepped on it, your whole body would be numb and your movements would be slow. In fact, Yan was also slightly poisoned at this moment, but he had the elixir refined by Yao Lao, even if it was not the matching detoxification secret medicine, but it was also effective. But Himeng didn't have it. His body was slow to move, and he couldn't resist Yan's new Earth-level fighting skill at all. He was directly hit to death on the spot. The battle is over. Yan did not stay any longer. The longer he stayed here, the more poisoned he would be. Besides, Yan did not know if the wolf-head mercenary group had any more pursuers. When Yan came back, Granger praised him. Your new fighting skills are very good. But it's also thanks to my poison, otherwise you wouldn't be able to fight so easily. Yan felt a little breathless. He smiled bitterly and said, say less. Your poison can't distinguish between friend and foe. Fortunately, I am prepared, otherwise, I don't know who will win between me and that Hermione dear. The 8-star fighter is indeed very powerful. However, Yan is even stronger. Yan is confident that even without Granger's poison, he can kill the enemy in a dignified manner. Chapter 568. Yan is shocked. Because of the use of the flame-devouring wave ruler, Yan's chi was output crazily, and he was a little exhausted. Let's leave here quickly. Granger did not refuse. As the two of them went deeper and deeper into the Magic Beast mountain range, they could see more and more magic beasts around them. Fortunately, the two of them were very careful, so there were no major problems. The next day, the sun was shining, and Granger looked at Yan who was practicing. Yan opened his eyes and asked, what are you looking at? Yan felt good about himself, thinking that maybe it was because he defeated the 8-star fighter yesterday that Granger had a different opinion of him today. After all, beautiful women love heroes. I was thinking that you killed the third leader of the wolf-head mercenary group, and maybe the enemies we face next time will be more than just a few. Yan replied, it is very likely that the leader of the wolf-head mercenary group will come in person, but don't worry, we will definitely have a way to deal with it. Yan was relatively optimistic, although he was being hunted in the Magic Beast mountain range. Fortunately he was getting stronger. Having pressure is also a good thing for him. Granger suggested, we should prepare for a rainy day and think of ways to deal with it in advance. Yan was a little surprised. What are you going to do? Granger kept it a secret. I won't tell you for now. When the time comes, you will understand. Don't do this. I'm a little scared. Yan's face was a little uneasy. He said anxiously, don't make any more poisons. My legs are still weak now. Even if you want to poison, you have to prepare the antidote in advance. After knowing that Granger would poison, Yan, as a big man, was still a little afraid to take medicine. Granger smiled but said nothing. At this moment in Qingshan Town, the news that Yan killed the third in command of the wolf-head mercenary group, an 8-star fighter, quickly spread. Many people were surprised. In Wanyaozhai, Zhao Yixian was studying the 7-color poison sutra. She was not like Miss Granger, who studied so many things. Hearing about Yan's creation, she also sighed. Yan is really amazing. He can even kill an 8-star fighter. I just don't know if Miss Granger is still with him. At this time, there was a knock on the door, and Zhao Yixian immediately put away her book. She was extremely smart, and just by listening to the footsteps, she probably knew who came in. Open the door. Mr. Yao, you are so welcome. Mr. Yao is the real owner of Wanyaozhai, and he is still very prestigious in Qingshan Town. I hope I didn't disturb Zhao Yixian's rest. Mr. Yao was polite on the surface, and it can be seen that he is a cultured person. However, his purpose for coming today is not simple. The wolf-head mercenary group has released news that Zhao Yixian, Yan and a girl named Granger have obtained the secret treasure of the cave. Zhao Yixian also politely poured tea for Mr. Yao. After drinking the tea, Mr. Yao went straight to the point and talked about the secret treasure of the cave. Zhao Yixian certainly did not admit it. This is all just a fabrication by Master Mulai of the wolf-head mercenary group because he failed to pursue me. Oh? Mr. Yao was a little surprised by Zhao Yixian's answer. Is there such a thing? Zhao Yixian continued. It is because Yan and Miss Granger are my personal guards that Master Mulai's conspiracy failed, and instead made them wanted criminals. As she spoke, Zhao Yixian looked lonely. Mr. Yao could not tell whether Zhao Yixian's words were true or false. However, he did not completely believe Zhao Yixian, but only superficially criticized that Master Mulai was not a human being, and dared to set his sights on the people of Wanyaozhai. After sending Mr. Yao away, Zhao Yixian showed a sneer on her pretty face. They are all a group of people who are greedy for treasures. Little did they know that this treasure could also cost someone's life. Zhao Yixian is not a good person. She will remember who treats her well, but if someone wants to harm her, don't blame her for being cold-blooded and ruthless. Zhao Yixian just dealt with Mr. Yao. The wolf-head mercenary group was in a mess. The body of the third leader was brought back, because of Granger's powder. The surrounding monsters could not get close, so the bodies of the third leader and a large number of mercenaries were preserved. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to leave a complete body in the monster mountain range. There are so many hungry beasts waiting for a bite of corpse flesh to fill their stomachs. Asshole. Damn it. The leader of the wolf-head mercenary group was so angry that he stomped the floor tiles with one foot, and the strength of the two-star fighter was evident. The mercenaries around were also silent. In the monster mountain range, being a mercenary is very dangerous. Not only the monsters, but also their own boss is angry and says that they can kill them, and they have no way to do anything. The lives of the mercenaries here are not much better than the lives of the monsters. Get ready immediately. I will lead the team myself this time. We must kill that bastard Zhao Yan. The third leader of the wolf-head mercenary group was killed by a kid in the monster mountain range. This news has now become a laughingstock in Qingshan town. No one would think that the third leader's death was pitiful, because human life is worthless. Even the third leader of the wolf-head mercenary group, Master Muley looked at the horrible corpse of the third leader and felt a little worried. These people all showed signs of poisoning. That treacherous villain Zhao Yan. Before killing people, everyone in the wolf-head mercenary group was poisoned. The big leader Mushi knew this and immediately asked people to prepare a large amount of medicinal materials and prepare for detoxification in advance. This revenge must be avenged, otherwise, the wolf-head mercenary group will never be able to raise their heads in Qingshan town again. The blood feud. Zhao Yan and the wolf-head mercenary group's contradictions are getting deeper and deeper. One side must die completely before this hatred can be resolved. They are coming so fast. Zhao Yan was still training hard that day. He had to be prepared for a big battle. The people of the wolf-head mercenary group would definitely not give up. Zhao Yan knew this very well. A team of dozens of people, up to hundreds of people, marched towards the Warcraft mountain range in a mighty manner, led by the big boss Mushi. Big boss, we found Zhao Yan. Mushi was overjoyed. Great, surround him immediately, and make sure to cut him into pieces today. The wolf-head mercenary group has some power in Qingshan town. They have their own unique methods of finding people in the mountains. Not all of them are fools. Zhao Yan looked at the enemies who surrounded him quickly. This time, they were obviously not on the same level as the scattered soldiers. Even Zhao Yan felt a little bitter. Miss Granger, it seems that you have to use your expertise this time. Run away, Granger said with a cold look in her eyes. Before running away, let them feel some pain first. Zhao Yan asked in confusion, what, are you going to poison again? I'm afraid it won't work this time. The other party has been prepared, but there are hundreds of people coming. If we are not careful, we may all be defeated here. This is not a joke, especially since the leader is a two-star fighter. Unless the old man of the ring medicine takes action, there is no solution. Granger suddenly whistled. Remember I said that I have a new method. Zhao Yan had some question marks. Granger. Then, the ground began to shake. Zhao Yan was shocked. Granger, what did you do? The wolf-head mercenaries were also shocked. What happened? Is it an earthquake? Oh my god, what are those densely packed monsters? At this time, hundreds of people saw that the densely packed monsters and bloodthirsty rats, which were dozens of times more than their number, were surging like waves in the mountains and seas. Chapter 569 Bloodthirsty Rat. Zhao Yan had heard Granger had a solution, but he didn't expect that Granger's solution was this. How about it? I'm awesome, right? Granger said proudly. I summoned these tens of thousands of bloodthirsty rats. The scene at the foot of the mountain immediately became bloody. The rats rushed straight to the mercenaries. Although the bloodthirsty rats were only first-level monsters, there were too many of them, and soon countless mercenaries were eaten to the point of being bones. The scene was also quite terrifying, so cruel. Granger also pretended to be scared. Zhao Yan was extremely shocked, and he said in shock, How did you do it? The rats usually have a specific walking route and will not come here for no reason, Granger explained. I discovered them a few days ago. There are too many of them, and there is not enough food around, so they can only migrate in large numbers. Granger followed the laws of nature and said, but even so, there are not enough resources. In order to maintain the ecological integrity of the monster mountain range, some of them must die, so that the remaining bloodthirsty rats can have enough food. Diane felt incredible when he listened to Granger's argument. You mean, you attracted tens of thousands of bloodthirsty rats to fight the Wolfhead mercenary group for the ecological integrity of the Warcraft mountain range? This statement is really fresh. Granger stroked the earth. At this moment, she seemed to be no longer an individual, but the real god of the earth. We have lived in the Warcraft mountain range for so long. Don't you have feelings for this land? Rat tide is a rat infestation. They can't solve their own problems. It just so happens that letting them fight against the hundreds of people of the Wolfhead mercenary group can solve the problem of too many bloodthirsty rats, and at the same time, it can also let the surviving bloodthirsty rats have a meal. Diane looked at Granger, this beautiful woman, who was still wearing a veil at this moment, making it difficult to see her true face. But Diane admired her very much. I feel that you are no longer settling personal grudges at this moment. You are like the mother of the forest. Granger rolled her eyes. What forest mother? I'm not that old, Diane said awkwardly. Then call it the saint of the forest or the saint of the earth? Granger shook his head and said, neither sounds good. If you really admire me, just call me goddess. As a savior, he not only saves people, but also the entire ecosystem. In Granger's eyes, the lives of the Wolfhead mercenaries are the same as the lives of the bloodthirsty rats. Maintaining a balance is a perfect ecosystem. Diane, you rat, come out. I'm going to kill you. Diane, the head of the Mush family, watched his elite men constantly fall down in the attack of the bloodthirsty rats. Although they also killed countless bloodthirsty rats, making the number of this group of rats smaller and smaller. Some bloodthirsty rats left after they were full. After all, hundreds of mercenaries are not so easy to mess with. After a big battle, more than 200 mercenaries, only more than 100 were left, and they were all injured, and many of them were seriously injured. The rat problem was also solved by them. Tens of thousands of bloodthirsty rats were reduced to only a few thousand, and there was no need to worry about not having enough to eat. The scene was miserable. Mushi held up a big knife. His body was covered in blood. At this moment, he was like a bloodthirsty demon. Treacherous Diane, you poisoned them the first time, and attracted bloodthirsty rats the second time. Are you still a man? Diane was speechless. Look at what you have done. You poisoned them, and you attracted bloodthirsty rats. Now it's all my fault? Diane felt aggrieved to bear this black pot. Granger looked at his new choice task and said to Diane, if you feel unhappy, just go down and fight. There were too many bloodthirsty rats just now. You will definitely be attacked if you go down, but not now. Besides, the Wolfhead mercenary group has also lost most of its combat effectiveness. You can just fight happily. Diane was speechless. You are really amazing. Why don't you go down? Granger said at this moment, I saw that they have been bitten so miserably by the bloodthirsty rats. If I add insult to injury at this time, wouldn't it be too cruel? I can't do it. You don't dare? There are so many reasons. Still can't do it? Didn't you just say that for the sake of the ecology of the Warcraft mountain range, you attracted a large number of bloodthirsty rats to solve the problem? Why, you suddenly become kind now? Do you think it's cruel? Diane said helplessly, you can't do it, so you let me go down? Two double standards. Granger smiled and said, the Mew Snake boss scolded you, not me. If you can bear it and don't act like a man, then you can just stay. Damn, you are so cruel. Diane gritted his teeth. It's fine that he took the blame for Granger. At this moment, the Mew Snake cursed Diane very badly in order to force Diane out. As an old man, Mew Snake knew that it was impossible to encounter a rat tide on this road. It was probably arranged by someone. The only ones who had a grudge against their Wolfhead mercenary group were Diane and Granger. Granger was a woman. She shouldn't have this ability. It must be that treacherous Diane. Damn Diane, He must be nearby. Such a good show. Anyone can't help watching it. Stop cursing. Your grandfather Yan is here. Yan chose a tall tree and jumped down. In order to show Mushi a lesson, Yan took out the Xuanzong ruler and struck down with a powerful force. Mushi was already exhausted from the previous battle. Even though he was a 2-star fighter, he was actually a little inferior to Yan, a 6-star fighter. Rat, looking for death. But he could finally vent his anger. Mushi was willing to fight Yan even if both sides were injured. Boom. The first confrontation between the two sides, Yan only felt numbness in his hands and was shocked. The gap between the cultivation of a 6-star fighter and a 2-star fighter was still huge. Both sides retreated several meters away. Mushi had external injuries and vomited blood. Yan was also pale and did not feel well. Rat, if you don't attract the bloodthirsty rat, Mushi, will kill you with one knife. Yan did not deny it. Even though the bloodthirsty rat had nothing to do with him, there was no need to explain to Mushi at this moment. Yan said with cold eyes, "You said I was a rat, but your wolf-head mercenary group's behavior is fair and above board? There are more than 200 mercenaries here. You have sent out a big battle to kill me." Yan, Mushi's eyes were full of bloodthirstiness. He said angrily, "Since you killed the third leader of my wolf-head mercenary group, Yan, you must die. I don't need to take action to deal with rats like you." Brothers, come on. Mushi was also treacherous. Although his strength was far above Yan, he had just dealt with tens of thousands of bloodthirsty rats and consumed too much physical strength. There were also wounds on his body that were bitten by bloodthirsty rats. If he fought Yan head-on at this moment, he would not be able to gain an advantage. Let more than 100 men grind Yan first, and wait until he is exhausted, and then Mushi will kill him with a knife. Despicable. The remaining more than 100 mercenaries who were alive at this moment wanted to eat Yan's flesh and drink Yan's blood. After they learned that the large number of bloodthirsty rats were attracted by the stinky boy in front of them, they all wanted to cut Yan into pieces. For a moment, the battle was extremely brutal. Yan was quickly surrounded. In the flash of swords and shadows, Mushi sneered, "Despicable. Hee, we are the same." Seeing Yan being beaten and chopped on the back, Muley felt very happy. He thought, this despicable stinky boy must have felt the same way when he secretly watched their wolf-head mercenary group being attacked by tens of thousands of bloodthirsty rats. Chapter 570. Flying Fighting Skills. Yan was so angry that he vomited blood. He wanted to fight Mushi head-on, but the other party was as treacherous as Granger and only let his men wear down his physical strength. There were more than 100 mercenaries, even if they were all injured. But their hatred for Yan was as deep as the sea. At this moment, all the mercenaries turned into real men. Even if they risked their lives, they would bite off a piece of flesh from Yan. The knife on his back was a mercenary who knew that he would be killed by Yan, but he still wanted to cut it. I am afraid of such people who are not afraid of death. Even if they are not as good as Yan, they are not afraid of death and hate Yan to the sky. At the same time, they are numerous. Yan, go to hell. Mushi couldn't wait any longer, seeing that Yan's physical strength was gradually declining. This brat was also a ruthless character. With more than 100 sieges, he could kill dozens of people. If he continued to be arrogant, the more than 200 people he brought this time would not even be 100. Boom. Flame Divining Wave Ruler. Yan was waiting for this moment, and he came up and used his ultimate move on Mushi. Mushi was shocked. He didn't expect that this brat still had such a strong strength. Windblade Dance. The strong men collided, and the mercenaries around were blown away by the air wave. A huge pit was smashed out of the ground, and the surrounding trees were cut off. Mushi vomited blood again, and this time, Yan also vomited blood. He had to leave. If he continued to fight, Yan might really die here. Yan wanted his teacher to take action, but Yao Lao didn't take the initiative to come out. His purpose was to train Yan. After all, in Mutant City, 3-star great fighting masters had killed him. The one in front of him was just a 2-star fighting master. If Yan couldn't solve this level and asked his teacher to take action, then it would be too embarrassing for him. Yan and Granger. I guess she has already run for her life. However, to Yan's surprise, Granger did not run away, and at the critical moment, She dropped a few more poison gas bombs. Bang bang bang. Poisonous smoke immediately filled the air. This smoke is poisonous. Everyone hold your breath. Mushi seemed to be on guard. That Jian wants to escape. Stop him. Mushi knew that Jian was also seriously injured, and even if he released poisonous smoke at this moment, he would not be able to escape, because the wolf-head mercenary group was already prepared. However, what shocked them was that at this time Jian suddenly used the flying fighting skill Eagle Wings. He was still a fighter, but suddenly purple cloud wings grew out from his back, and he spread his wings and flew out. How is this possible? Mushi's boss was stunned. He, a 2-star fighter, couldn't fly. The strength of Jian had been experienced in the battle just now, and he was definitely not at the level of a fighter. But how could he transform his fighting spirit into wings? The mercenaries who originally thought that their great revenge had been avenged were also dumbfounded at this moment. Fuck, this kid can fly? He didn't play by the rules. How could he fly? Mushi immediately thought of something. Could it be that this flying fighting skill is the secret treasure he got in the cave? In the original drama, Jian and Jiuxian left a treasure chest for the wolf-head mercenary group. But here, Jian, Jiuxian and Granger didn't leave any treasure. There are only 3 empty boxes. Damn it, that stinky boy actually has such an opportunity. Mushi's face turned green with envy. You know, his wolf-head mercenary group is the local snake, and the periphery of the Warcraft mountain range is like a back garden, and they can come and go at will. However, the secret treasure in the cave was obtained by Jian, who came to the Warcraft mountain range for the first time. He is injured. Even if he has a flying fighting skill, he can't run far. Chase him. Whoever can kill Jian, I will give 100,000 gold coins and a high-level technique. There must be a brave man under a large reward. The remaining mercenaries howled and chased after him. On Jian's side, even if he escaped with the help of the flying fighting skill Eagle Wing, he was not feeling well. The purple cloud wing requires a lot of fighting spirit. Even if he keeps taking pills, he can't use the purple cloud wing for long-distance flight. And he was also seriously injured. Sooner or later, he would be caught up by the wolf-head mercenary group. If he was caught, the consequences would be disastrous. When that time comes, I'm afraid he will really be neither alive nor dead. Jian, this way, run this way. Granger suddenly appeared magically. In the previous battle, the people of the wolf-head mercenary group didn't know that Jian was not alone at all. Even the poison bullet Granger dropped, everyone thought it was Jian's escape. Jian didn't have time to say anything to blame at this time. Jian was covered in wounds, and his clothes were stained with blood. Granger was good. As a wanted criminal, her clothes were bright and beautiful, and even her long hair was not messy at all. It's so annoying to compare yourself with others. But thinking about it, she didn't abandon Jian and run away alone at the critical moment. And she also dropped the poison bullet at the critical moment to help Jian escape successfully, which was also a merit. Jian did not hesitate and immediately followed Granger to escape. Granger had drugged Jian's flying fighting skill Eagle Wings. Although he did not absorb the residual soul of the purple cloud Eagle Wings in the scroll, he was able to condense small wings as thin as silkworm wings. Although he could not fly perfectly, he could also make himself very fast. Jian was shocked when he saw it. Is this Miss Granger really a genius? That night in the cave, she only took a few glances at the 7-color poison sutra and was able to develop poison gas bombs. She also read my own flying fighting skill Eagle Wings. Although she did not obtain the residual soul of the purple cloud Eagle Wings in the scroll and could not successfully condense the purple cloud wings, she also cultivated small wings as thin as silkworm wings. This is definitely not something that an ordinary cultivator can do. Although Jian's purple cloud wings are more powerful than Granger's, he is injured and his speed is not necessarily faster than Granger at this moment. The two of them, one in front and one behind, finally escaped the capture of the wolf-head mercenary group temporarily. Jian could finally take a break. Looking at the unique geographical environment here, he asked curiously, "Where is this place?" Soul-breaking gorge, Granger said. Haven't you seen the map of the Warcraft mountain range? Jian was stunned. There is such a thing? I haven't seen it in Qingshan town. You are an adventurer, but you don't even have a map. What adventure are you doing? Being scolded by Granger, Diane was speechless. He swallowed the pill, and his strong physique played an important role at this time. The wounds on his body began to heal. They couldn't be restored to their original state immediately, but at least they wouldn't bleed anymore. Granger pretended not to know and asked with concern, "You are seriously injured. Do you want me to bandage you?" Diane shook his head. "Thank you for your kindness, Granger. When you were running just now, I saw a pair of transparent wings behind you." Granger was like a flower fairy in the forest at this moment, spreading his wings again and smiled. "Are you talking about this?" "Yes. This is the secret book Flying Fighting Eagle Wings in the Cave. However, the wings I practiced are a little different from yours." Granger pretended not to know that Diane absorbed the residual soul of the purple cloud eagle wing. Diane did not explain, but praised, "You are really amazing. You only looked at it a few times that night, and you were able to practice transparent little wing." Sincerely, Diane thought he didn't have this ability. Not only did he absorb the residual soul of the purple cloud eagle wing, but he was able to condense a complete purple cloud wing. At the same time, he also had the guidance of the knowledgeable Yao Lao. But Granger practiced the way by himself, relying only on the memory of what he had seen, which was really amazing. "Of course, I told you a long time ago that I have a photographic memory," Granger said proudly. Chapter 571 Tuang Strongman. The Warcraft Mountains are full of dangers, and survival battles are staged at any time and anywhere. Even if there are no adventurers, there are still warcrafts that devour the weak for a bite of food. This is the law of the jungle. The strong prey on the weak. Diane and Granger are not the strongest here, of course. The premise is that Ms. Granger continues to roleplay. In more than a year in the Dqi continent, she has not really shown her full strength. She feels that she is not pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger, because there is no tiger to eat at all. Diane experienced a life-and-death battle, and briefly recuperated in the soul-breaking gorge, and then practiced hard and successfully broke through to the 7-star fighter. When Granger said congratulations, Diane said modestly, "It's not enough. It's still not enough." Now he can't defeat the 2-star fighter Mushi. In the original drama, Diane also took the time to refine some unorthodox medicinal powders. For example, the pink 7-leaf flower. This kind of medicinal powder is often used by the flower thief. In the original drama, Diane happened to see it and refined a bottle, and this bottle played a crucial role in the later story. Here, Granger had 3 options. 1. Either help Diane refine the crayfish, so that he could continue to have the same romantic encounter as in the original drama. Impossible. Granger is not that bored. 2. Pretend to be a master, beat up Diane, and give him some pointers, so that he can quickly break through the Qi cultivation. Too difficult. Beating up Diane is not a big deal, but Granger is not so arrogant as to let him rise 3 levels with just a few pointers. 3. Do nothing, not even give him dinner, and reward him with 10 kilograms of secret crayfish for completing the task. "Let's try some crayfish. I haven't eaten it for a long time." At night, Diane cried out that he was hungry. However, after calling around, Granger was nowhere to be seen. "Where did you go? Could he be in danger?" Diane was a little worried. After all, there were wolf-head mercenaries outside who were eager for revenge. If Granger was caught by them, his fate would be absolutely miserable. But thinking that the woman was extremely cunning, nothing should happen. The next day, Granger came back with the secret crayfish. Diane was worried. "Where did you go last night? Don't just disappear without saying anything." "Okay," Granger joked. "Why, do I have to report to you every time I go somewhere?" Diane touched his nose awkwardly. If it was an ordinary girl, after spending so much time with Diane, she would have developed a relationship story. But this Granger was too strange. They were obviously a single man and a single woman, but Diane felt Granger was more like a good friend, and did not feel the opposite sex attraction. "Is this crayfish? It smells so good. Did you catch this last night?" Granger went back to Uden City to sleep in last night, but she would not answer like this. "Yes, try it." Diane didn't know what to say. "Although you are a woman, you shouldn't waste time collecting delicacies." "Huh? It's delicious." Diane hadn't eaten crayfish for a long time. There are also crayfish on the Dqi continent, but no one cooks it. Granger served the reward from the system, which was naturally delicious and fragrant, and it was also a secret recipe. The taste was naturally something Jian had never tasted before. I'm really afraid that after I leave you, I will never be able to eat such delicious food again. Jian sighed. Granger said something philosophical, live in the present. Why bother thinking about the distant future and adding to your troubles? Live in the present. Jian chewed on this sentence and then laughed. That makes sense. What else? I haven't eaten enough. I didn't have dinner last night because I couldn't see you. After a long time, Soul-Broken Gorge was not very safe. Granger and Jian faced two choices. Continue to fight with the Wolfhead mercenary group. Of course, this time the opponent is prepared, which makes it even more difficult to fight. The difference between the enemy and us is too great. Or, go deep into the Warcraft mountain range, where high-level Warcraft live. Even if the Wolfhead mercenary group has 100 courage, they dare not rush into it and search it. The two reached an agreement and went deep into the Warcraft mountain range. As they entered carefully, Jian and Granger heard the sound of fighting at the same time. What a terrifying noise! What level of existence is fighting? Jian and Granger looked at each other and rushed over at the same time. On a hilltop, it was obvious that this mountain was different from the other mountains. There lived a terrifying 6th-level magic beast here. A beautiful woman in light armor was proudly suspended in the air, and a strong fighting spirit was permeated around her. Is that a Ling, or a Dwang? Jian was amazed. It was the first time he had seen such a master in his life. In Qingshan Town, there was no such master. Granger blinked and said, this is probably a Huang strongman. Huang? Jian's mouth was very dry. That woman doesn't look too old, but she is such a terrifying existence. Jian is still aged now. How long will he need to practice to reach this level? The Huang strongmen are among the best in the entire Jiama Empire. Many cultivators cannot reach this level even if they practice hard for a lifetime. This level requires not only hard work, but also opportunity. The magic beast that can make the Huang strongmen unable to fight must be not simple, right? In the original drama, Yao Lao helped Jian to solve the puzzle, but here, the person who solved the puzzle was Granger. That is the 6th-level magic beast Amethyst-Winged Lion King. Jian was very surprised. How do you know? It was the first time that Jian found that Granger was so knowledgeable. Granger said indifferently, why are you surprised? I have seen it in an ancient book of biology. Look at the appearance of that magic beast. Isn't it the Amethyst-Winged Lion King? Jian smiled awkwardly. Haven't you read that book? Granger pretended to be illiterate. Jian was even more embarrassed. Although he was the third young master of the Zhao family, it was obvious that the small place of Wooten City could not provide ancient books on the biology of 6th-level magic beasts. Let's not talk about this. I'm afraid that Huang strongman can't beat that 6th-level magic beast Amethyst-Winged Lion King, especially when the Amethyst-Winged Lion King used the Amethyst Seal. The Huang strongman, although beautiful, obviously did not have a high IQ. He was not prepared for this and was sealed. Then the purple crystal-winged Lion King suddenly attacked and was about to kill the Huang strongman. At the critical moment, the system options popped up in front of Granger. Option 1. Use advanced magic to rescue the Huang strongman. Complete the task and reward the exclusive attribute, Defense, +1. Option 2. Use the Magneto bracelet to help the purple crystal-winged Lion King kill the Huang strongman. Complete the task and reward the exclusive attribute, Universal Gravitation, +1. Option 3. Just watch and wait for the follow-up development. Complete the task and reward the basic attribute +1. One is to help the Huang strongman, and the other is to help the purple crystal-winged Lion King. If Jian was not around, Granger would not mind exposing some of his strength to help the Huang strongman. After all, the female Huang was really beautiful, and Granger was a dog for appearance. She would help whoever looked good. Besides, the purple crystal-winged Lion King was the boss monster in the game, with a lot of treasures, and Granger did not recommend sharing a piece of it. However, since Jian was here, Granger should choose 3. It was not bad to get a basic attribute +1 bonus without doing anything. Danger. Jian was also a beauty lover, and he was a little worried when he saw that the Huang strongman was in danger. Chapter 572 6th Level Magical Beast. Hearing Jian's worry, Granger directly encouraged, "You are worried that such a beautiful Huang strongman will fall, so hurry up and save the beauty." Hearing Granger's ridicule, Jian could only smile bitterly. "Don't joke. Even if I am a Ling master, I will die if I go up. Not to mention that he is only a 7-stars. The effect of rushing up is about the same as that of an attacking fly, maybe even worse than a fly." Boom. The Huang strongman is not simple either. Before being attacked by the 6th level magic beast Amethyst Winged Lion King, he used a special move, Wind Extreme Killing. The sword actually broke the horn on the head of the Amethyst Winged Lion King, and the Huang strongman was directly knocked out, and his life or death is unknown. "Damn human, dig 3 feet deep to find that damn woman," the Amethyst Winged Lion King roared, and at this moment, all the magic beasts in the forest were crawling on the ground, not daring to breathe. Too strong. Jian's heart almost stopped, and his lungs couldn't breathe. "Is this a 6th level magic beast? It's really so terrifying." Hurry up. Jian just came back to his senses. Granger had already slipped away. Jian was speechless. He thought he was already a little expert in survival, but compared to Ms. Granger, he was still a small witch compared to a big witch. Jian immediately followed. This time watching the battle had a huge impact on Jian's heart. The Huang strongmen are so terrifying. His current realm is still far from the real strong. There is still a long way to go. Just in front, I saw her fall in this direction. This side is next to a very shallow stream. The water is clear and the surrounding environment is also beautiful. Granger ran in front. She was afraid that Jian would get ahead. In the original drama, this kind of experience is Jian's. But Granger here is not polite to Jian. She didn't kill Jian directly, and secretly helped him so much, which is already enough. As for the opportunity to meet a beautiful woman, let her, the stunning little beauty, come. Jian here should just be a martial arts fanatic. Target found. The stream water turned red, as if blood was flowing. A beautiful lady with a beautiful figure was injured and fainted in the stream. The system in front of Granger immediately popped up a dialog box. Option 1. Go up and save the Huang strongman, and don't let Jian feel any involvement. Complete the task to reward basic attributes +1. Option 2. Add insult to injury. Kill the Huang strongman directly, and take the treasures on her body for yourself, and then refine her body into a puppet. Complete the task to reward exclusive attributes. Villain, +1. Option 3. Let Jian have this chance to save the beauty. Complete the task to reward exclusive attributes. Good guy, +1. Elimination method. First eliminate option 3. What a joke. With Granger here, what can Jian do? Let him deal with the fights and injuries. This kind of beautiful thing of saving the beauty, of course, I have to do it myself. But option 2 is also interesting. If it weren't for the system prompt, Granger would not have thought of this. After a little fantasy, it feels really interesting. However, Granger can't be a villain. Let's go with option 1. Granger immediately came to the female Huang strongman and explored her body first. There was no heartbeat. After all, this is a Huang strongman, and Granger's chi has not reached this level yet. The Ling Master's chi in Granger's body entered the female Huang strongman's body to explore, while checking her body's injuries, and see if there's any shortcut to break through to the Huang level. Only by continuous learning can we make faster progress. When Jian arrived, Granger had already picked up the injured and unconscious female Huang strongman. In order to prevent Jian from peeking at anything, he also considerately put a clean blanket on the female Huang strongman. There were several shocking wounds in front of the female Huang strongman, deep enough to see the bones. If she hadn't been protected by armor, her body might have been broken into several pieces by now. At the same time, because the stream water wet the clothes, if they were not covered with a blanket, it would still be easy to be exposed. Jian came here, because he was trained by Granger to be a martial arts fanatic. He was not disappointed that he did not take advantage. After all, Jian here has not watched the original drama Fighting the Sky, and he does not know how wretched he is in the original drama. However, every man is like this. There is nothing to say. Is this the Huang strongman who fought with the 6th level monster? Yan was very surprised. He could see the pale face of the female Huang strongman, and she was still very beautiful when viewed from a close distance. After all, this is a novel world, and the beauties here are naturally beautiful ceilings. Let's go. Let's find a safe place. At this time, the place that must appear in the scene came, the cave. Outside the cave, Yan could only be responsible for guarding. Inside the cave, Granger began to help the female Huang strongman clean and bandage the wound, and thoughtfully helped her change into a clean set of clothes. They are all girls, so there is naturally no problem in doing these. Unlike Yan in the original drama, who was a big pig's hoof and had all kinds of yeet. However, Yan here didn't think much about it at all. With Granger, a girl, there, it was naturally impossible for him to take care of the injured female Huang. However, at this time, Yan couldn't concentrate on his cultivation. It was rare for him to go hunting. Granger had always cooked, and Yan planned to do it this time. In the original drama, Yan refined a low-level medicinal powder. Here, because of Granger, Yan didn't have this opportunity at all. If Granger knew, Yan would probably be ashamed to live. Therefore, Yan didn't even think about refining a low-level medicinal powder. Naturally, the embarrassing situation in the original drama would not happen. Yan shot a few unlucky wild rabbits and a few big fish. He didn't enter the cave, fearing that he would see something he shouldn't see. The ring Yao Lao also flew out, sighing, "What a great opportunity to get close to the female Huang. It's gone." Yao Lao understood that it was a pity that he could meet the injured female Huang here, and that the female Huang was so beautiful and gorgeous, but was taken care of by Granger, that little girl, and Yan could only be a guard outside. Yan didn't feel too much. Maybe he felt that if there was no Granger, he would never have met the injured female Huang. He felt that this was Granger's opportunity, and he just happened to meet. Yan ignored Yao Lao, and waited for Granger to come out of the cave. Yan asked with concern, "How is it?" "Nothing serious. It's okay. I just woke up." "Don't talk nonsense when you go in later." Granger looked at Yan and planned to cook, and said, "Is this the prey you hunted? You clean it, and I will cook it later." "I'm afraid your cooking skills are not up to standard." Yan was of course happy. Compared with life, Granger still knows better. If he cooks, it will taste like ordinary grilled meat or fish at best, but if Granger cooks, it will be a rare delicacy in the world. Definitely not on the same level. The female queen just woke up, looking at the situation in the cave, and the fact that she was bandaged very well and professionally. Then, the beautiful face of the female queen turned red, and her clothes were changed. "Who is it?" Not only did he save her, but he also took care of her so attentively. It shouldn't be a man, otherwise, her body would definitely not be so intact. Sure enough, a woman wearing a veil came in. She had an outstanding temperament. Although I don't know her stunning face, her figure and temperament show that she is not an ordinary girl. How do you feel? Chapter 573 Yunzai. Even though she was a Huang, she was high and mighty in the Jiama Empire, but at this moment, she was seriously injured. Most of her cultivation was sealed, and she was saved by the other party, so the female Huang's attitude was naturally gentle. "Thank you for saving me." When the female Huang saw Yan, her eyes flashed with a strange color. Granger was very thoughtful. She went forward and grabbed the female Huang's hand and said, "Don't worry, sister. I bandaged your wounds and changed your clothes by myself." The female Huang was a little uncomfortable with Granger's close behavior, but seeing that she was sitting on a blanket and had clean bedding on her body, it was obvious that the woman who saved her knew how to live. She was not an ordinary female mercenary who slept in the open air. "My name is Yanzi. I will repay you for saving my life today." She was a Huang, and this was not a joke. Yan was going to say something because he was a little surprised. He knew that Yanzi was a Huang, but he didn't expect that she would be as gentle as an ordinary beauty after being injured. However, Granger did not intend to let Yan speak. She continued to hold Yunzai Huang's hand and said, "My name is Granger, and the one next to me is Yaoyan, my friend." "Yaoyan?" Yan was stunned. "What the hell? When did I change my name?" In fact, Granger was going to say that Yan was her servant, but she was afraid of being exposed and leaving a bad impression of talking nonsense. There was no need to be clever in such things. Granger also explained that they were being hunted down and fled to the dangerous place of the Magic Beast mountain range. It is normal for the rivers and lakes to kill each other, Yunzai Huang said. Wait until I recover. I will help you solve your enemies. This can be regarded as a reward. Yunzai felt that the two people's cultivation was not high, and their enemies should not be a big deal to her. Unexpectedly, Diane immediately refused and said, "No, I will solve my own hatred myself." Yunzai, your kindness. I appreciate it. Oh, interesting. Yunzai looked at Diane a few more times, perhaps because Granger was too close. Yunzai was also relaxed. She suddenly smiled and asked, "Are you two a couple?" No. Both denied it at the same time. Granger said with a black face, "Sister Yunzai, I saved you, don't say anything nonsense." Yunzai said, "I see that you two are very close and of similar age." Granger suddenly hugged Yunzai and explained, "I don't like stinky men. I like beautiful women like my sister." Yunzai was stunned. Diane also had some strange feelings, and a flash of lightning appeared in his brain. He suddenly felt that Granger's preference was familiar to him. In the Zhao family in Yuden City, that Hermione was also the same. She had occupied his Zhao for many years, and even Yu and Zhao Mai were often with her. Diane didn't believe that she didn't like beautiful women, and this time, Diane suddenly felt that Granger also had this characteristic. Granger was too close to Yixian and Yunzai in front of him. Could it be? Diane suddenly had a very bold guess in his heart. Granger always wore a veil. Although she was often unreliable and funny, she did have many things that people could not figure out. Could it be? Diane began to doubt Granger's identity for the first time. Sister Granger, don't talk nonsense. You are a girl with outstanding temperament. Why do you like girls? But think about it. Yunzai herself has never liked a man for more than 20 years. On the contrary, she is overly caring for her beautiful female apprentice Lin Yanran. This time, he went deep into the Warcraft mountain range to find trouble with the 6th level Warcraft purple crystal winged lion king, also for a kind of medicinal material around the purple crystal winged lion king, the purple spirit crystal. This can be used to refine medicine for Dan King to improve his cultivation. Granger said, "Sister, you continue to rest and recuperate. We will go out to cook and bring it to you when it is ready." "Thank you for your help." Yunzai was somewhat grateful. They met by chance and didn't even know her specific situation. This Granger was so kind to her. It was indeed difficult to repay him. Fortunately, when Granger said he liked beautiful women, it was not the kind that Yunzai imagined. Granger was more of an appreciation, so Yunzai didn't have to worry too much. Outside the cave, Granger was in a rare good mood to teach Diane how to cook. At the same time, he joked, "You usually practice hard, but how come you are so happy when you see the beautiful Yunzai this time that you don't even practice anymore?" Usually Diane raced against time to become stronger, but today, from the moment he saw Yunzai, Diane stopped practicing. Diane smiled awkwardly. "Who do you think I am? Am I the kind of person who can't walk when seeing a beautiful woman? This is the first time I've seen Huang masters fight. I was so excited that I couldn't calm down, so I took some time off. When I can calm down and recall the battles of Huang masters, I will naturally continue to practice hard." Diane was learning how Granger made delicious grilled fish, but Diane's mind was no longer on the grilled fish. Along the way, Diane always thought that Granger was a brainless and stupid woman. But just now, in a moment, he seemed to have caught something. When he observed Granger again, although this Granger was wearing a veil, she had soft long hair, white and tender skin that seemed to be transparent, a charming figure, and a temperament that even a female Huang master called outstanding. Diane felt more and more strange in his heart, because when Diane merged Zhao Hermione and Granger in his mind, they were surprisingly consistent, except for the fact that this Granger was more free and easy and casual in character. There was almost no difference. How could I be so stupid? Why am I only beginning to doubt it now? If Granger hadn't denied it, saying that she liked beautiful women and didn't like stinky men, Diane would never have thought of this. "Why have you been looking at me?" Granger questioned. What bad thoughts are you thinking, you little bastard? Inside the cave, Yunzai is as beautiful as a fairy. Why don't you go and take a peek? Granger was wearing a veil. What was there to see? Yan coughed. He looked at the fire of the grilled fish. The forest was gradually shrouded in darkness, and it was getting dark. Yan's heart beat faster for some reason. Now Hermione should be studying at Canaan College with Alexander at this moment. How could she be here? Although he felt that Granger couldn't be Hermione, Yan had to doubt it when he thought of the many similarities between the two. Yan began to ask tentatively, Granger, this is the first time I know that you like beautiful women. Although you are wearing a veil, I feel that you should be a beautiful woman too. You are a beautiful woman yourself, so why do you like beautiful women? Granger answered as a matter of course, because beautiful women are beautiful. Don't you think Yunzai is not beautiful? Yan recalled the heroic scene when Yunzai fought against the purple crystal-winged Lion King as a female Huang. She was indeed very beautiful. That's not what I meant. Yan didn't know what to say. Forget it. Let's change the subject. When you were in Qingshan Town at first, why did you choose me as your teammate to go on an adventure? This time, Yan looked directly into Granger's eyes. Granger's eyes were like crystals, shining in the firelight, making people want to be fascinated. Granger was not afraid of Yan's scrutiny. She was very smart and probably guessed why Yan was abnormal today. Granger had three choices in front of her. Either choose advanced magic to brainwash Yan and make him no longer doubt his identity, or continue to play dumb and see through it without saying it, or directly reveal the identity. Of course, there are other options, such as Granger disappearing, or starting to transform into another girl. However, Granger felt that she didn't want to be too deliberate. Besides, even if Yan knew that she was Hermione, it didn't matter. So, she chose to continue to play dumb and said, actually, I can tell fortunes. Yan, when I first met you in Qingshan Town, I knew that you were the martial arts genius with a unique bone structure. Although your current cultivation is not high, it should be interesting to adventure with you. That's all. Granger's answer made Yan a little speechless. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 574 Amethyst-Winged Lion King. Yan could tell whether Granger's words were true or false, so he did not pursue the matter any further. It did not matter whether the Miss Granger in front of him was Hermione, the extraordinary woman of the Zhao family. When he was at the Zhao family, Yan could not understand Zhao Hermione, so it was normal for Yan not to know Granger's true identity in this monster mountain range. It's ready. I'll take it to Yunzai to eat. Granger seemed to be worried that Yan might peek, so he said, you don't have to follow me in. Yan was speechless after hearing this. He was obviously the male protagonist, and in the original drama, this story was so cool and happy, but here he could only stay outside the cave like a guard. Granger went in with the grilled fish and meat. Yunzai smelled the fragrance. There were luminous stones placed in the cave, and the light was soft. Sister Yunzai, it's time to eat. Yunzai wanted to sit up, and Granger came over to help her up. The two were very close, and it was unlikely that Yunzai would not be taken care of in her current health. Thank you. Granger smiled and said, what are you thanking me for? Eat quickly. It won't taste good if it gets cold. Granger also prepared boiled water. Yunzai's body was not suitable for drinking beverages at the moment. Where is Yan? Yunzai thought of the handsome guy. Granger said, I asked him to guard outside. It's dark now, so it's not appropriate for him to come in. Yunzai sighed. This Granger was quite thoughtful. To ensure your safety, Yunzai, I will sleep with you at night, Granger said very seriously. Yunzai didn't think much about it. They were all beautiful women. After Yunzai finished eating, Granger also wiped Yunzai's body with a wet towel. Although as a Huang strongman, she could use qi to simply clean her body, but Yunzai's cultivation was sealed and she couldn't use it now. Yunzai wanted to say no, but then she thought that Granger would sleep with her at night. If her body was not clean, it seemed that it might affect Miss Granger's sleep. because Miss Granger looked like a woman with high quality of life and was more particular about life. Fortunately, Yunzai could appreciate both the refined and the popular. Yan, who was outside the cave, not only did not benefit at all, but after Granger and Yunzai finished eating, he was still responsible for washing the dishes outside. Yan was speechless, but he did not say much. After all, he and Granger had established an unspoken tacit understanding. Granger was responsible for making food, while Yan was responsible for washing dishes and cleaning up. A night passed quickly. After all, Yunzai was a Huang strongman. Even if her cultivation was sealed, her body recovered very quickly. Of course, there was also the effect of Granger bandaging and applying medicine for her. Now Yunzai's wounds have healed. When Granger applied medicine to Yunzai, he sighed, "Sister, you are so beautiful." Yunzai blushed slightly, and she said, "My sister is also a beautiful person. But, I don't have the Huang strength that you, Sister Yunzai." After Granger changed the medicine for Yunzai, he helped her put on her clothes attentively. At this time, Yunzai was surprised and said, "Do you know I am a Huang?" In the Jiama Empire, Huang strongmen are almost the ceiling. Generally, when cultivators see Huang strongmen, they are like mice seeing cats, and they are trembling with fear. She never expected that Granger knew Yunzai's true cultivation, but from yesterday to today, Granger's attitude towards Yunzai was very natural, as if they were good friends who met by chance. They ate together, dressed together, and slept together. Yes, Granger did not lie. Yesterday, when you fought with the 6th level magic beast Amethyst-Winged Lion King, the earth shook. Yan and I heard the noise from a distance, and then we carefully went over to take a peek. So that's it. No wonder Granger knew her own strength. You two are really adventurous. It's so dangerous, but you dare to join in the fun. Yunzai sighed. Granger took Yunzai's little hand and smiled. Danger and opportunity coexist. Otherwise, how could we find the trace and pick up the Huang strongman who fell from the sky? Yunzai felt the eagerness in Granger's eyes, and she felt a little embarrassed. It's me, the Huang, who is a little embarrassed. If she hadn't been rescued by Granger and Yan, then Yunzai's fate would be extremely dangerous. Even Huang masters can be killed. No, it's my sister who was careless and was sealed by the purple crystal-winged Lion King, otherwise she wouldn't be so embarrassed. Yunzai nodded and said, "Well, I will definitely get back at you next time." Granger suddenly hugged Yunzai and smiled. "Next time, Yan and I will go with you." Yunzai was not used to being so close to Granger. Even in Yunlan sect, her favorite land, Nalan Yanran, had never been so close. Granger was too enthusiastic. But Yunzai did not refuse. After all, Granger was a beautiful girl who was loved by everyone. Last night, Yunzai thought she would not be able to sleep with Granger. Unexpectedly, Yunzai slept very soundly and peacefully. Granger exuded a comfortable and warm atmosphere. "I appreciate your kindness, but it's too dangerous." Yunzai wanted to refuse. She was a Huang master, but she almost fell in the battle with the purple crystal-winged Lion King. Granger and Yaoyan knew they were not strong. If they went over, the purple crystal-winged Lion King might roar and they would be shocked to death. "Don't worry, Sister Yunzai. We small people also have our own set of survival rules," Granger explained. "Sister Yunzai, you fight with the purple crystal-winged Lion King to attract its anger. At this time, Yaoyan and I will go into its lair, steal the treasures, and attack from the east and west." Yunzai's eyes lit up immediately. For the first time, Yunzai took the initiative to hold Granger's hand. Both of them were beauties in the world, and their palms were smooth and delicate. "Sister Granger, you are really a smart girl. This method is great." As she said, she took out the soft armor on her body. "Although it is broken now, you can still be safe if you wear it." In the original play, this soft armor was given to Yan. Yunzai only had one here. She was close to Granger, so she naturally gave it to Granger. As for Yaoyan, let him die. Granger has many defensive sets, such as the Ominous Omen, the Witch's Cloak, and the Sage's Protection, but she did not refuse, and accepted Yunzai's soft armor and said, "Thank you, sister." Then she continued to feed Yunzai delicious food. A day passed quickly. In the original play, this was Yan's affair. and he spent every day with Yunzai. Miss Granger was completely replaced here. As for Hien, he could only stay outside the cave. Men and women were not allowed to touch each other, and he never entered the cave at all, staying outside. His mood gradually calmed down in the scenes of Huang strongmen fighting. Hien understood the gap between him and Huang strongmen, so after calming down, he continued to practice. When Granger came out, she told Hien about her plan. It was very dangerous to go with Yunzai to find trouble with the purple crystal-winged Lion King. If you are not careful, you may be wiped out, but there are opportunities. Hien's ring Yao Lao also agreed to let Hien go with him, and said that the purple crystal-winged Lion King was full of treasures. If Hien could come back alive on this adventure, he would definitely gain a lot. Okay, I'll go too. Hien nodded in agreement. Chapter 575 Adventure. It is not an easy task to deal with the 6th level magic beast, the purple crystal-winged Lion King. Hien wanted to formulate a detailed strategy, but he was laughed at by Granger. By then, the information will change rapidly. Besides, we have no idea what dangers are in the purple crystal-winged Lion King's cave. We can only adapt to the situation. Hien thought about it and felt that Granger was right. After a night, Yunzi's injuries had almost healed. Most importantly, the seal on her body had been unlocked. The aura of a Huang strongman immediately permeated. In the original drama, Hien obviously felt that Yunzi was much colder at this time. People are divided into different levels. It is difficult to force people who are not of the same kind to be together. In the original drama, Yunzi was injured and her cultivation was sealed. Naturally, she was not much stronger than Hien, but when Yunzi recovered, she was a serious 3-starred Huang strongman, while Hien was only a 7-star deuce. The gap between the two was huge and difficult to cross. Even if Yunzi didn't mean it, the coldness in her eyes would naturally make Hien feel like he was on edge and difficult to get close to. On this side, Granger didn't have this feeling. Although Yunzi broke the seal and exposed the Huang aura, it was indeed terrifying. A weak person standing in front of Yunzi would probably suffocate, but Granger himself is also a strong person. Although her current chi cultivation is only at the Ling level, she still has the power of other worlds. Therefore, even if Yunzi is at Huang, she is actually not as strong as Granger. Granger naturally doesn't think that Yunzi's recovery of Huang's strength is nothing. But on the surface, he still has to pretend. Sister, your strength is so strong that I can't breathe. Granger didn't let go of Yunzi's little hand when he spoke. Yunzi was also surprised. The deterrence of the Huang strongmen to the weak is implanted in their bones. Just like ordinary small animals will feel afraid when they see lions and tigers. However, this Granger can still continue to hold her Yunzi's little hand. Not simple. For the first time, Yunzi felt that Ms. Granger was not what she seemed on the surface. She had definitely seen the world. The key continent was very big, and Yunzi was not a frog in a well. Miss Granger, you are also amazing. You can remain calm under the aura of Huang. Yunzi was not mocking. She had just broken the seal, so it was naturally difficult for her to retract the aura of a strong man for a while. After regaining the strength of Huang, Yunzi also felt as light as a swallow and her whole body was extremely comfortable. She restrained her aura and became as gentle as jade. No, I mainly think it's beautiful to be close to my sister, but I don't feel scared. Granger said that he wanted to see the wound in front of Yunzi. Yunzi felt blushing. This Granger really thought of himself as a famous doctor, but Yunzi did not refuse. She asked Granger to check her wound again. This time, with the power of Huang, the wound was completely healed. A few shallow white marks could be barely seen, and there was no scar left. Yunzi also sighed although it was due to her physique. Granger's medicine was also amazing. Thanks to your medicine, my wound didn't even leave a scar. Granger suddenly took out a bottle of ointment and said with a smile, I will help you, Sister Yunzi. Apply this skin cream. In 2 days, the skin of your wound will be completely restored to its original state. Yunzi thought about her recovery now, so she said, I will do it myself. Although Granger is also a girl, Yunzi still feels a little uncomfortable. After all, her injury is in front of her body, not on her arms and legs. Could it be that Sister Yunzai is so distant to me now that she has recovered? Seeing Granger say this, Yunzai was helpless. She could only put down her hands, close her eyes and said, "Okay, then I will rub you again." Granger was not polite and personally helped Yunzai apply the ointment. The strange feeling made Yunzai blush a little. She is a Huang strong man, but at this moment, Granger can only get close to her. When the two came out of the cave, Yunzai no longer needed to be bandaged. She was as beautiful as she was when Jian first saw her. Even though the Huang aura was restrained, it was still difficult for ordinary people to get close to her. "Congratulations, Yunzai, on your recovery," Jian said politely. The relationship between the two was not very close, but Jian still admired Granger. Yunzai had recovered her Huang strength, but Granger could still stay close to Yunzai. As expected, Granger, a wonderful woman, could become friends with any beauty of any level. "I also want to thank you and Miss Granger for saving me. I will definitely repay this favor." Yunzai was also a person who would repay a favor. "Senior Yunzai, don't be so polite." Jian and Yunzai said no more than 10 words here, but Granger hugged Yunzai to sleep every day. So Jian started to call him senior, but Granger did not change her words and still called him sister. "Granger should have told you, it's very dangerous to fight against the purple crystal winged Lion King together. If you want to quit, it's not too late now. The purple crystal winged Lion King is very strong, and Yunzai cannot guarantee that she can fight against the 6th level monster while protecting the lives of Jian and Granger. Granger told me that. In fact, I have experienced many dangers with Granger." Jian smiled and said, "I am not afraid of dangers. I am only afraid that I will not get enough treasures." What a bold and arrogant boy. Yunzai suddenly found that both Granger and Jian were very interesting. Granger dared to be different from ordinary people and was very close to her. It was the first time in her life that someone dared to get so close to her. And Jian was not simple either. Yunzai could feel that this guy was a little genius. Even if Granger and Jian were brought to Yunlin sect, they would be extremely outstanding disciples. However, they were so outstanding that they must have inherited the legacy. Yunzai did not need to go to the trouble of recruiting them to Yunlin sect. In that case, let's not waste time and start right away. Yunzai couldn't wait. This time, they had been delayed for too long in the depths of the monster mountain range. "That's what I meant." Jian was also very excited. Although he knew that his teacher Yao Lao was very powerful, it was the first time for him to come into contact with a Huang strongman at such a close distance. Even Jian's father, Dao Zan, was only a Grand Master, and above the Grand Master there was a Ling, and above the Ling there was a Duang, and a Huang was above a Duang. How powerful was that? Good. Yunzai immediately grabbed Jian's shoulders, and Miss Granger was treated much better. Yunzai directly hugged Granger. They quickly flew up and headed for the purple crystal winged Lion King. The basic countermeasure was to make a feint to the east and attack in the west. Yunzai was responsible for attracting the anger of the purple crystal winged Lion King, and Granger and Jian took the opportunity to enter the purple crystal winged Lion King's lair to steal things. Be sure to be careful. Granger looked at Jian, but was talking to Granger. Granger was the first girl to be so close to Yunzai, and Yunzai didn't want Granger to die in the purple crystal winged Lion King's territory. "You too, don't be sealed again," Granger joked. Yunzai smiled bitterly. Then the two sides separated, and soon, the deafening roar of the purple crystal winged Lion King was heard. "Damn human, how dare you come here?" Jian and Granger were on the other side, feeling the earth-shattering battle between Huang and Amethyst-winged Lion King, and their fighting spirits were surging. They were fascinated and said, "When can I have this kind of strength?" End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.